welcome back to another episode with Fight Night Picks. As always, we're brought to you by SimBody. Vertiball is now SimBody. If you head on over to their website, simbody.com, you're going to get all the great products that you know and love, including the SimBody Vertiroller and the Vertiball that you have seen most likely here in studio. Look at that. Place it, lock it, attach it, Vertiball, all sorts of great stuff over there if you want to roll out those old tired muscles and you don't want to go with that old lacrosse ball. They're also coming out with that very new product that you can see right in front of you. And if I head on over to my cart, look at that. I've already got a Vertiball over there. Little bit of a deal right there. And if you hit the try for 60 days risk-free, use the promo code FNP and you're going to get 10% off your order. With that code FNP at simbody.com, you're really helping out another local company here in New Brunswick, Canada. Can't wait for it. The new name, SimBody at simbody.com. And as we always say, let's get into it. And just like that, we're back. We're set for UFC 285, the Fight Night Picks Sidekick. Thank you so much for joining in. It's been, what, like 4 pay-per-view cards since we've had the show, but we're really looking forward to it. You have the return of the GOAT, as they're calling him, Jon Jones, taking on Gane, heavyweight main event. Of course, you have Shevchenko taking on Grasso, the other title fight on this card. I mean, listen, Jeff Neal missing weight, taking on Shavkat Rakhmonov, Gamrot versus Jalen Turner. And, of course, the first fight on the main card, I mean, you know it. It's Bo Nickal. He's taking on Jamie Pickett. So, something for everyone on this main card. Prospects and a lot of ranked fighters. And listen, out of these Fight Night cards and even some of these recent pay-per-view cards, not a ton of ranked competition on them. This is definitely one that you can look forward to with the return of Jones taking on Gane. And, of course, right now, as we speak, Matt, I mean, listen, I'll bring the old UFC website down a little bit. We have a matchup. No love, Cody Garbrandt taking on Trevin Jones, who forgot how to fight again. So
just moving backwards, not doing much of anything. A lot of kicks from Garbrandt so far, which is interesting to see. But what happened to the Cody Garbrandt who threw boxing combinations?
Well, hey, the Garbrandt that does the shuffle. Oh, takedown!
That was a big takedown into side control for Garbrandt.
Cody Garbrandt ducking the kick with the takedown of Trevin Jones. Now, this is gutsy because Trevin Jones has a very advanced jiu-jitsu game, and Cody Garbrandt's playing with fire a little bit.
He's not like Pedro Munoz, though.
Jones back up to his feet. Garbrandt shuffling out of the way. But again, a big-time show. We like to start just before that main card kicks off. So we have the opportunity to talk about some of these fights. And usually, the last fight on the prelims is kind of halfway done or just about finished. But we're at the start of the second round of this matchup between Garbrandt and Trevin Jones with about 4 minutes remaining in that second round here.
This is such a weird fight for Cody Garbrandt, and I know at a certain point you do have to give him a matchup that is significantly lower than the level of competition he's traditionally faced, but if you're Garbrandt at this point, he's really just fighting for a spot on the roster. Well, if you beat Trevin Jones, okay, you're what, in the same category as Javid Basharat? Like, that's good, I guess, but one guy was the former champion, and one guy's had 2 fights in the organization.
Well, first of all, we want to hear from you down below in the comments section. Second bit, it's great to see Cody Garbrandt getting his due, getting to fight after a title fight. I mean, we got to see Jake Gyllenhaal knock out Jay Huron.
Impressive
UFC
stuff.
222 earlier on tonight. So Garbrandt, I mean, he's on his horse right now.
But, like, dude, we don't need to watch Roadhouse now, right? Like, we know the ending of that movie.
Yeah, Jake Gyllenhaal becomes the champ.
Wow.
Unless that's the start of the movie.
Jake Gyllenhaal, a bad boy, perhaps. I just don't know what this fight does for Cody Garbrandt overall. I get that it's a good stepping stone to get back on the horse at 135, but again, I just don't know how much stock you gain if you beat a guy like Trevin Jones.
Tight guillotine from Trevin Jones.
I don't think he's going to complete this.
Garbrandt's wincing.
If he does, that'd be wild.
Garbrandt's in a bad spot. Oh, he pops his head out.
Trevin Jones isn't Fabricio Verdum. You're acting like he's the greatest jiu-jitsu ace we've ever seen.
No, but I mean, you compare his ground game to the game that he has on the feet, and his ground game's definitely much better. Though, if you just watch Mario Bautista
but his power,
and
I
Trevin
think,
Jones
is the biggest
highlights.
part of his game, and that gets accentuated on the feet the most.
Garbrandt hanging out on top halfway through. Alex Ramirez hanging out. Connor Cates, Kurtar, Zach G, all things Spurs. Mr. Rodriguez. Shelton. No one really getting set for this card. But, yeah, we have the culmination of this bantamweight tilt between Garbrandt and Trevin Jones. Trevin Jones trying to do a little bit of the can opener. Jones hanging out here in guard. Trevin Jones.
Other way around. Garbrandt does the can opener.
Trevin Jones hanging out.
Well, again, he's not Brian Ortega. I didn't think he was going to, like, pop guillotine every time Garbrandt was on top of him. I didn't put that much stock into his ground game.
Cody Garbrandt, he's added to the tattoo game, and if I'm not mistaken, it's him that has a tattoo of Post Malone on his calf. What do you make of a younger man getting a man getting a tattoo of a younger man? Song? Oh, I couldn't.
White Iverson.
Congratulations, and White Iverson. They're the only two.
That's my favorite.
They're the only two that I know. Connor, Cody's on a warpath. This is the start.
Is it though? Like, he's beating a guy who's 13-9. I hate to just bring everybody back down to earth, but that's my whole point.
With no contest.
If you're Cody Garbrandt, this fight really only solidifies your spot on the roster. And you hate to say that about a guy who was the former champion, but this doesn't prove anything to us. It really just kind of stops the bleeding, per se, and keeps him in the division. Because I don't know if he gets a ranked opponent next, and I kind of would hate for that to happen. Because, like, a guy like Javid Basharat has really been on the rise as of late, and a finish has eluded him in his UFC career so far. So I don't want a matchup like that for Garbrandt, because I think a fight like this at least justifies you maybe getting another guy who's sort of on his way out. Do you think they do the Dominic Cruz rematch?
No.
Dominic's kind of on his way out. That just sort of crossed my mind. I think that would be a fun fight that I at least would be willing to entertain, because I don't think Dominic Cruz is in his prime per se. That was a bad stoppage loss by to a guy like Marlon Vera. So maybe a fight like that I think could be fun if that's considered a ranked opponent, even though I don't really know if I consider Cruz at that level still. But for Garbrandt, yeah, I still think he needs one of those, like, 15 to 25 guys before he gets another.
Like, somebody told Trevin Jones before the fight, hey, you heard that story about Seth Petrozelli. Just take him down. And that's Trevin Jones now going for his own takedown against Garbrandt with less than 30 seconds left. So, yeah, Kurtar, Jones really putting a stamp on this round, going for a clinch with 30 seconds left. I don't know what the heck he's doing. I mean, this is a guy that if he loses, he's done. And he's losing pretty bad in a not so competitive fight.
Would you agree that Garbrandt hasn't looked amazing, though? Like, I would like to see the combination punching. That's what I said. Like, where has that gone? That was the thing that made him...
a win.
But that's the thing that made him special. I don't want to see that get completely diminished to nothing. Because, again, Cody Garbrandt won a UFC title because of his power punching combinations and flurries. I would like to see that still be part of his game. Like, if you remake him into a different fighter, at least let him have some of those strengths that he once saw. I don't love him just spamming body kicks, because I don't think... Let's say he does get this win, and I'm assuming he will go on to beat a guy like Trevin Jones. Again, like I said, that's not going to prove a lot to me, at least. And I think you would probably agree with that. And he just did it by, like, throwing slightly more volume than Trevin Jones in a fight where Jones didn't throw a lot of volume. That doesn't prove a lot to people. So, again, I would just like to see him throw a little bit more in combination, because that was something that was so impressive about him on his way up. It wasn't just the one-punch knockout power. It's the fact that he could throw so many punches together in combination.
Kurtar saying Cody fighting not to lose for sure. That's kind of what it looks like. Cody's on a warpath. Yeah, that one's tough. I mean, when you do look at a matchup like this, and of course you talk about divisional relevance, Garbrandt, the former champ, he was ranked for quite a while, moves down to 125, and some things went well until he ended up getting dropped and then up and then dropped again against Kai Kara-France. But obviously the movement was still there. The speed was still there at 125, but, you know, questionable chin plus the drop of the 10 pounds when you're already a light man yourself. Now he gets that opportunity at 135, and we know Trevin Jones as a powerful puncher. They both go in for some tricky shots, and Garbrandt shuffles away towards the power side. But for Garbrandt, we've seen the wrestling in this matchup. We saw that a little bit in the fight against Rob Font, where he lost a decision in a 5-rounder. We've seen... Oh, he's doing a great job of ducking those kicks. And the last time that Garbrandt ducked a kick, he went in for a slam. So wrestling, we've seen kicks from Garbrandt. We haven't necessarily seen the boxing, and we've seen no comb over from Cody Garbrandt in this matchup too. And it looks like the hair is a little bit fuller in the front too.
It is. Did you get that like Brian Urlacher post-retirement surgery? That's big in MMA. Francis got it. Paolo got it. Maybe Cody got that guy's number. Who knows?
Went down to Brazil for a plug.
Maybe perhaps. Gets wild.
Minute into this fight, nothing's happened. Trevin Jones missed a head kick, and Garbrandt is playing on the outside because he's already won 2 rounds. He just needs that dub.
But, like, if you're Cody Garbrandt, is this dancing worthy? You're not Sugar Ray Leonard fighting Roberto Duran. Like, you're just a guy. You're not that guy, pal. You're not that guy. Like, you're beating Trevin Jones, who's 13-9. You've been stopped in a lot of fights. Like, you can't fight like this and beat Marlon Vera, you know? Or Corey Sand. Like, there's a lot of good fighters at 135. That's why I was just really expecting Cody Garbrandt to look really nice in this matchup, because I thought, okay, he'll prove something that will at least get him back into kind of the conversation of the top 15. Again, I think him fighting a guy with a number next to their name is a step too far after this matchup, but I just thought a fight after this would at least get that conversation out there, and I don't think he's justified that.
This was incredibly questionable as a main card curtain jerker. We said that throughout the week. And this is exactly what I expected in this fight, in the fact that there's nothing going on. Like, it's hard to get amped up for this. T-Rich, Habib via submission. I mean, maybe. Narulo Aliyev looks like the new Habib. Narulo Aliyev, you're going to be nervous every time he goes out there and fights. Because, my goodness, his striking defense is not improved. But, boy, oh, boy, is he good at taking guys down.
Yeah, his run strength is as good as anybody's.
Trevin Jones.
Cody Garbrandt shuffling left and right like he is the greatest fighter we have ever seen.
Oh, now Trevin Jones hitting the air.
If he hits one of those, though. You can't come out to Thunderstruck and then fight like this.
Bantamweight being one of the best divisions, if not the best division in MMA. Trevin Jones, 10 significant strikes in 2.5 rounds.
Do you think he watched Tyron Woodley versus Damian Maia and said, I want to be like him when I grow up?
From Anthony Walker, Trevin Jones throwing 3 kicks per round is really getting on my nerves.
As it should.
Adam Martin, Trevin Jones basically doing the exact same thing William Knight did a few weeks ago.
That was a terrible fight.
Monster Moshe, with the thumbs up in the 100. It's hard to keep it 100 when you're watching Trevin Jones and Cody Garbrandt. Nice left hand from Trevin Jones.
Oh,
nice right hand.
Wow. And we know Cody Garbrandt doesn't eat punches all that well, so maybe Trevin Jones could string together something as he eats.
Cody's going to try and stall.
Cody Garbrandt going for the wrestling.
Garbrandt gets hit. Trevin Jones could win a round in this fight.
And he'd feel pretty good about that on the next ex-MMA card.
Trevin Jones saved it all for the end. He wants to bait people into buying a pay-per-view.
Wow.
Oh! Big left hand, Trevin Jones.
Garbrandt might be hurt.
He says back of the head. Cody Garbrandt.
Wow.
Gonna clinch up.
There's so many good fighters in this division, and I just don't think Cody Garbrandt's in that.
This is the reason why rich people don't sit in the front seats until the main card starts.
Wow. Such a flex.
Hey,
it's pretty cool to be like, hey,
Trevin Jones, minute left on top and half guard.
Listen, we'll call the Uber at what? Like, we'll wait till what, the
9:45?
Yeah, we'll watch like the first 3 prelims, then we can probably hop in the cab. We'll get food once the fights start. That's bougie, honestly. Like, you are in a different tax bracket.
Like, I mean, I'm the type of guy, I'm showing up. Whoa, the up kick. I'm showing up for, like, pregame warm-ups at hockey games.
I want to see people hit home runs in the freaking BP for baseball. Like, that's exciting stuff. And
I back when, and it was a big deal, back when you could go see Yoenis Cespedes just mash moon rockets in BP. Goodness. So I went to an A's game against the Blue Jays just for that, and I get to see it. 5 seconds remain. So 29-28, Cody Garbrandt, Trevin Jones.
Wow.
Heck of a fight, Matt.
Cody Garbrandt's about to cheer like he just won the NBA title.
Y'all must have forgot, man.
When they stole my gold medal in Seoul, Korea. Let's look back.
Who do you think is one? Connor says I would say Cody Garbrandt.
Cody, yeah, 29-28. I think Trevin Jones won that 3rd round. He was much more aggressive in the 3rd round, but Cody, I think, sealed it with 1 and 2. Not a great fight, though. Again, doesn't give me a lot of confidence about Cody Garbrandt moving forward, just because 135 is such a shark-loaded division that it's going to be difficult to really pave your way. Like saying, wow, Cody Garbrandt beat Trevin Jones 29-28. Is that something that's making you go, oh my goodness, let's see him fight Corey Sandhagen next? No, not at all. He probably gets stopped immediately.
Sandhagen, Vera, big fight coming up. That's next weekend. Jan taking on Dvalishvili.
Could you imagine Marab fighting this version of Cody Garbrandt?
He'd take him down.
What, 48 times in like 12 minutes?
That's a tough one. Connor's going big on Bo Nickal.
Wow.
Getting the first round submission.
Bo Nickal has as high of a ceiling as I think as any prospect we've seen in a long period of time.
Well, I mean, if we're talking about it, and we'll really just dive into this main card. So UFC 285, let us know who you have in these fights as we go along. We'll preview them, and we're really touched down because for Nickal, I mean, Division I All-American every single year of college, all the way through. 3-time Division I champion.
Good job in the predictions so far.
3-time champion as it went along. He was a 2019 Dan Hodge Trophy winner for the best collegiate wrestler, no matter of status. And if you go down through it, unanimous decision win for Cody Garbrandt. Dewey Cooper, another winning UFC fighter. And Dewey Cooper, brands on the shoulder.
That right arm?
He's got to show them. I think Dewey Cooper and I would either clash or we would have a great time. Me and Dewey Cooper?
If you guys clashed, it would just be very awkward. I don't think you would, overpower him by any means in a clash. Imagine Craig Allen in a feud with Dewey Cooper.
I feel like I could learn so much from Dewey Cooper.
It'd be one of those, hold me back guys, but you would be very nervous as we hold you back.
Well, Dewey Cooper, a very interesting coach in MMA. But when we focus on this fight, we know how good Bo Nickal is in MMA. Started his amateur career in 2021, and he was a big focus of Icon FC, and Game Bred FC, Icon FC. Jorge Masvidal is behind it, so the fights are going to be on Fight Pass. Bo Nickal's a pretty big deal. Polaris, he's taking on Gordon Ryan. That's going to be on Fight Pass. Bo Nickal has been a premier Fight Pass guy since his amateur career now. 2-0 in 2021, all first-round finishes. Then he has that pro turn. First round finish against an established guy. And then, of course, he ends up taking on Zach Borrego. It was, week 2 of Dana White's Contender Series. Yep. He main events. He wins, but Dana goes, my Contender Series needs ratings. You're going to fight again. Week 10, he fights. He gets another win over Donovan Beard, who was the CFFC champ, the reigning defending CFFC champ, a guy who, and it was said over there at Fight Night Picks, over on Question Mark Kicks, but Zach Beard, he's a really good fighter. He's 7-1. He had won title fights. He had a nice win streak, but he struggled with the takedown, and he had to come back in every single fight. It'd be like fighting a Blake Builder.
Fight a guy with experience. I think that is a good win. I do kind of agree with that.
He goes in, he starts to strike, he utilizes the takedown, he reverses, and then all of a sudden he's in that triangle armbar type of position, and Bo Nickal gets the finish. He knows he's ready. He's in the fight. So, again, the line movement, really, really crazy towards Bo Nickal. He opened up at about a minus 1,800 favorite, still about there. So way too rich for my blood, but Bo Nickal taking on Jamie Pickett. And if we know anything about Jamie Pickett, you talk about just utilizing the smarts and a guy that can fight certain levels of competition to his benefit. And if you look at it for a guy like Jamie Pickett in the UFC, he beat Laureano Staropoli in a fight where a lot of people thought, okay, Staropoli, he's a hype prospect at one point, but he couldn't get it going at 170. Maybe the weigh-in was kind of tough, so 185 was the play. Jamie Pickett went out there, controlled it, made it a little boring in that fight. His next time out, he picks up a big win as well. So for Pickett, this is going to be tough because he tends to find success as a distance striker. It might not be that easy against Bo Nickal, but for Nickal, he tends to throw a lot of power in his shots, so maybe he can you get Pickett catching him on the way in.
I think Jamie Pickett has his hands full. It's tough to just give such a one-sided breakdown. It's just Bo Nickal has such a large advantage with his wrestling in this game. And I know I talked about his ceiling and how high it potentially could be, but the fact that wrestling is his base does help him with what his overall floor is. Because wrestling, especially collegiate wrestling, is something you can always fall back on. And it does transfer over to MMA and UFC at the highest levels in a very direct way. So I think for Bo Nickal, it's a good introduction, I think, to UFC fans, because hopefully this is a big pay-per-view, of course, with such a big title fight at the top, John Jones making his return. I just don't know what Jamie Pickett's really going to be able to do in terms of being able to maintain distance. I think he can have success at distance. I don't know how well he's going to be able to do to really be able to hold that range. So hopefully Pickett can make it an entertaining fight. Hopefully he can test Bo Nickal in ways that we haven't seen Bo Nickal be tested before. I just think Nickal at range has decent success with his own power. And up close, of course, his wrestling is such an X factor that I just don't really know how Jamie Pickett's going to deal with it. Like I said, it was kind of funny to hear Chris Weidman just be like, hey, I'm his training partner, but he's probably going to have difficulty in the matchup. Even he wasn't all that confident about Jamie Pickett's chances.
Matt, the next fight that's on this card, you got to get excited about it. Mateusz Gamrot taking on Jalen Turner. This one on short notice. February 14th, it was announced that Dan Hooker's out of the matchup. Gamrot is in. Gamrot ranked 7th. Turner ranked 10th. Returner 5 straight wins, all by finish. And if you're excited about a guy that was on the prelims, Indrikas du Plessis, UFC, all the wins, finishes, and so forth, Jalen Turner's one of those guys. His jiu-jitsu's leveled up. His wrestling has gone on a bit of a roll offensively, and you know his striking prowess and his power. And for Gamrot, we know how good of a wrestler that he is, and we also know the fact he's been a multiple-time ADCC European champion, 2014, 2019, finished number 1. So in this matchup, Matt, the fans were really going heavily with Jalen Turner. Our pick was both on Mateusz Gamrot, so I'm eager to see this fight.
And I think for where the odds are, like if you pick Jalen Turner, it's not a terrible idea because he is so lethal on the feet and with his submissions, but he's one of these fighters who his potential to get a finish is very high. I struggle to see how he'd win a decision in this matchup though, and that's the problem. And to say he's going to be able to go out there and finish a guy in the top 7, that's difficult to do. Like, Dustin Poirier is one of the few guys, Charles Oliveira I would say too, who consistently fight in the top 15, and they always have difficult matchups like every single time. So they're able to finish guys in the top 15 quite often. So I think it's going to be a difficult task for Jalen Turner to do so, but we have seen the cracks in Gamrot's armor to where, hey, he's been dropped before, he's been hurt before, we know how big of a puncher Jalen Turner is. So if Turner went out there and finished Gamrot, I wouldn't be surprised. I really wouldn't, even though Gamrot has shown quite a high level of durability up until this point. I just think Gamrot, especially with his wrestling, is going to be such an X factor that it's going to be tough for Turner to get into a rhythm.
Well, moving to the next one, Matt. Jeff Neal taking on Shavkat Rakhmonov. Craig Hart tuning in. Doughboy Paul made fun of you in the comments and in the comments here. Luke Walton, Finals MVP. You said that in question mark kicks, that Luke Walton won a Finals MVP. You were talking about his career. I think you meant Bill Walton, maybe?
Bill, sorry, yes, I did. My bad. I was going to say Bill Walton definitely won a Finals MVP. I must have just effed up.
Jeff Neal taking on Shavkat Rakhmonov. Matt, Jeff Neal, big underdog. We don't see Jeff Neal in that role very often. No. He was a decent underdog last time out against Vicente Luque. He got the win. He got the finish. He did miss weight at 175. Rakhmonov successful 171. Fight pass is down. So that's kind of wild. So we'll see how that one goes. But Twitter's in a frenzy and we can't see the fights. But Matt, for Shavkat Rakhmonov, 16-0, former Rumble Global champion and 8 wins by knockout, 8 wins by submission.
That wild?
And the wild part about it is Rakhmonov fights this weekend. Carlson Harris fights next weekend. And I'm really excited about that fight.
Good fighter.
He hasn't fought since he lost to Shavkat.
But that's like
wild.
He's a name on your resume that if you're not a real astute MMA fan, you're probably just going to look through it and maybe not pay that much attention to it. But like, he's a really good fighter who's pretty well rounded. To go out there and finish him the way that Shavkat Rakhmonov was able to, I already had quite a bit of stock in Shavkat Rakhmonov because I thought he was a great fighter coming over from M1 Global. But after that performance, it really solidified in my head that he can do a great job against high levels of competition. He proved that against Neil Magny, of course, and this should just be another step in him proving about how skilled that he is against these high level fighters. But we've said it so many times before. Jeff Neal's not a guy who's going to beat himself. And I know he missed weight by a long time, by a lot. It was 4 pounds. We don't need to talk about why. But for Jeff Neal, you do really wonder about what version of him you are going to get with him missing weight by that much. So hopefully he is that classic, durable, tough, good cardio version of himself. Because if we do get that, Shavkat Rakhmonov's going to have to really dig deep and show us something that he probably hasn't shown us up until that point. I just think Shavkat on the feet is going to be able to match Jeff Neal for the most part, even though Jeff Neal is a very lethal striker. But on the mat, Shavkat should have quite a bit of an advantage because Neil Magny isn't a bad grappler by any means. I know he has struggled with his wrestling defense in the past, but most of the time, that's against some of the best wrestlers in the division and really in the UFC. So to see Shavkat go out there and just take him down and get on top so easily, that was really impressive for me to see. So I think he'll be able to replicate that level of success.
Anthony Slosser debating buying the card. I mean, I bought the card. It was like 74 with tax, and Fight Pass won't even work. So now we're here. Getting set for their next fight, Matt. We have Valentina Shevchenko taking on Alexa Grasso. Grasso, the new up-and-comer. She looked really good against Araujo. Obviously not as good as Hebos did as that fight went on, but it was a main event. It was a little different. It was back and forth. It was a fun fight. And so Grasso gets this opportunity. She's 4-1 in the 5-on-in. She struggled with some of the better fighters at strawweight. At flyweight, she's looked good. And for Valentina Shevchenko, obviously the question marks, the conversation is there. She lost a round to Jennifer Maia. That's true. She looked human a little bit for a round there. And she won over Tyler Santos in a fight that a lot of vocal people out there on the internet had Santos to win. Majority on MMA decisions, which that website wasn't working this week, had Shevchenko in the win. So should be a good one here. Matthew Johnson, hometown favorite Neal. In Texas? Maybe. But in this matchup, Matt, Shevchenko taking on Grasso, just a breath of fresh air with a new challenger at 125.
It is, but you hate to see the 6th-ranked contender get a title shot. Like, that's not a great sign. That just means the champion has beat a lot of fighters. Like, I remember when Stipe fought Alistair Overeem. Overeem was the 4th-ranked contender, and there was some pushback as to whether or not he should even get a title shot. Alistair Overeem got pushback as to whether or not he should get a title shot. So, for Grasso, again, I've said it many times, hopefully she can keep it competitive on the feet. But even if she can do that, I still think she's going to be at a big disadvantage on the mat.
Well, it should be an interesting fight at 125, and then we have a look at Jon Jones taking on Ciryl Gane. Matt, Jon Jones, back after 3 years, that's what he looks like. Little bit of a boiler, taking on Gane. 247.5, real steel and sex appeal. That guy doesn't have to cut the weight to get there, nor does he have to pack it on. Gane moves like a middleweight, looks like a heavyweight. Jon Jones
like
moved
a butterfly.
Like a middleweight at 205. We'll see if he moves like that at 265 or at least at 248. So Jon gets this opportunity after all the time away. Again, you talk about the fact that this is a guy that's really had a great opportunity to build himself up to this weight class, the 3 years away. Mr. Rodriguez, Craig quit simping. I mean, the only reliable way to watch him is if you pay for them. So, Matt, Jones taking on Gane. It's a really tough fight to tell what Jon Jones is going to look like because you know how good Ciryl Gane can look, and he's looked like that consistently.
But I would say the last 2 fights haven't been consistent. That's why I do worry a little bit about Gane. Like, Tai Tuivasa was able to drop him, and we've never seen Ciryl Gane struggle on the feet to that level. And
there we go.
Ciryl Gane also got out-wrestled by a guy who had never wrestled in any of his fights ever up until that point.
He did in the fight against Miocic.
Who?
Francis Ngannou did on the way to his victory.
He didn't go for, like, he defended a takedown and, like, kind of defended one and went for a back throw. Like, he didn't show high levels of wrestling in that fight and go for a lot of volume takedowns. Whereas with Gane, he had significant amounts of top control and he went for multiple takedowns throughout the fight. It showed wrestling late in the fight, too, which definitely isn't something I thought I'd see out of Francis. So, for those reasons, for Gane, I don't know if he has been consistent as of late, but I still think his ceiling is extremely high. And that's the cool thing about Ciryl Gane. He fights like a man who is much smaller than he is, but like you said about Jon Jones, that was the thing that made him special, too. And that's what I do like about Gane being the challenge this weekend. I say this weekend, but it's today. Gane does offer up the counter to a lot of the things that makes Jon Jones special. Jon Jones isn't going to have this massive athleticism edge because Gane does move so well on the feet. So hopefully that movement can help him defend a lot of the takedowns. I just think Jones will get on top at a certain point, and I think he'll do quite a bit with that top control.
Doughboy Paul, Craig, can you chug a Molson with me? There's a possibility as we get ready for Bo Nickal against one Jamie Pickett. And a good fight. His fight pass still doesn't work, but Connor Cates, Jon Jones going to dominate. It's hard to say in that fight, but when we do look at this, Matt, again, if you consider it for Jamie Pickett, the run in the UFC hasn't really been the best. And we kind of touched on it. It's hard to offer you up not a one-sided kind of preview of it. Because for Pickett, he's a giant underdog, and the fan vote on Topology, 98% Nickal, 75% by submission. For the 2% that have Pickett, 59% by knockout, so they like it to go that way. Jamie Pickett in the UFC, not known for the knockout. He's got a decision win over Joseph Holmes. Showed a well-rounded game plan. Withstood it. Kind of dropped the first round, finished strong, round 2, round 3. Staropoli just kind of wore on him, but the loss in the UFC to Nchukwu, who's been hot and cold.
The hotness. Well...
Hot and cold, right. Really hot and cold performances. Jordan Wright, where they just kind of swung and Wright landed.
Poor Jordan Wright.
Kyle Dawkins, that was an interesting fight because Dawkins just kept going for the takedown. And then against Dennis Tululin, competitive start of the first round, ends in Tululin's way, and then as the second round goes on, it's all Tululin. So a shot for redemption out of Jamie Pickett to hit as one of the biggest underdogs in UFC history. Doughboy Paul, if you guys don't pick Ciryl, I don't respect you anymore. Well, it hasn't happened yet. Is that what's going on in the chat? Matt, now Fight Pass works again, so we get set for that. We can watch it in French, but we're not going to watch it with any language either. And Detective Allen, how stoned are you right now? I just worked out hard. That's why I haven't crushed the Molson yet. Matt, your thoughts on Pickett versus Nickal? Pickett Nickal.
You've asked me this a lot, and I can only offer up one-sided analysis. I think Bo Nickal's going to win this fight quite easily.
Well, you got to offer me more than that. We got to wait for the fight to start.
By the way, can I get a bit of an apology? You said my take over Derek Brunson having poor cardio lately has been disrespectful. He got tired in that fight. He got knocked out because of him getting tired.
Hammered on.
Because he got tired and moved backwards. I just think you got to respect the takes a little bit more. That's all.
You got to be nice.
I am. You said my take over Jeff Neal.
You're becoming too much like the other guy that wears a gray toque.
No, it's just you just automatically disagree with a lot of what I say, and I don't think it's all wrong by any stretch. That's all. I think the Derek Brunson take's quite accurate. I'm curious where Derek Brunson goes. Hopefully he doesn't just get cut by the UFC because he only has fought guys in that top level. Like we just saw with Garbrandt, he got that drop down to a guy like Trevin Jones. So I'll be curious. I know Brunson is a little bit further on in his career. He's 39 years of age at this point, but hopefully he gets a chance to kind of reset his career. They don't just keep on throwing him in there with those top level prospects.
Yeah, I mean, for Derek Brunson, definitely needs a reset. When you look at 185, you do have some young up-and-comers. They touched on the fight earlier tonight. Marvin Vettori is going to be taking on Roman Dolidze. It's not like Dolidze is a young up-and-comer. He's not a prospect anymore. He's established himself, but he is a guy making moves up through the division. So an interesting fight that we have there. We do have a younger crop of talent. 170's got it as well. You saw Ian Gary was standing a really tough first round as we kind of previewed. And then in the third round, he comes back. That was probably his most impressive performance in the UFC so far after the Gabe Green fight or the adversity that he withstood against Jordan Williams. You got to talk about that.
He won't be like a minus 700 favorite, though, the next time.
No, I don't think he will. So over there in the comments, Detective Allen, he already retired once, should just stick with it now. He's 40, y'all.
He's taking a lot of damage.
Well, Jamie Pickett making the walkout. The lights are looking cool.
The vibes are good for Jamie Pickett.
These walkout jerseys are weird because, like, I don't know what they are. They're very strange with that collar. Like, it goes down.
This is what I've always wondered. Could you come out with face paint like Jeff Hardy?
No. Only for the pay-per-view, what are they? The face-offs, the ceremonial face-offs. Like Paul Craig.
What if like Sergey Pavlovich, like a fighter nobody would expect?
I mean, Jamie Pickett with a corner that looks like that Alex Pereira corner that you wouldn't want to cross in a back alley. Just a large man. But Jamie Pickett representing Jim O, but he doesn't have John Salter or any of the boys in the corner. John Salter, former UFC vet, Bellator, great Salter. Jamie Pickett making the walkout. The fans are into it. I'm sure they're going to be more into it for the former top wrestler out of Penn State.
He'll get a big pop, I think.
But Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu brown belt for Pickett, representing a great grappling gym. And for Pickett, former Port City Performance Sports.
That's the one thing that is a little bit misleading about just looking at people's belts and assuming their grappling prowess based on the belt. Because again, like I brought up, a guy like Khabib doesn't have a black belt in jiu-jitsu, but I think it's fair to say he grapples at a black belt level, especially with his jiu-jitsu. And that's the thing with Pickett. He might be a higher belt in jiu-jitsu than Bo Nickal. I don't think he's going to have success off his back if Bo Nickal gets on top of him.
We've seen a lot of dominant wrestlers do that old grimy white belt and just grab guys, pick them up, slam them, head and arm triangle.
Even if, like, you transition a similar way in wrestling as you do in jiu-jitsu. The difference is, jiu-jitsu, you're a lot more comfortable off your back, and in MMA, that doesn't always work because sometimes you'll give up rounds that way. Yes, you're a lot more lethal in that position, but you will give up some position. So I do wonder, or I do worry at least, that Pickett might just give up some time off his back and eat some ground and pound shots as a result.
Dallas is saying hello from New Zealand. Hello to you from Canada, Matt, in this fight. I will say this before we get too close to the time. We will have the 5-minute timer. If there's any accidental strikes, if Cameron Simon decides he wants to poke a guy in the eye and kick him in the nuts twice, then we can pause the action. The guy's had 2 fights in the UFC, and he's lost 2 points due to illegal strikes. Wow. Then we can pick it back up once more. We can hide the timer. We can pop it back up. Craig Hart with the Super Chat again. What's the Allen Bros odds on UFC pushing Bo Nickal too fast? He's 3-0. He's fighting a guy with almost as many losses as he has wins.
But
I mean, if you can push Alex Pereira, who's 3-1 coming into the UFC, you can push Bo Nickal pretty quick too.
I guess it all depends on what your idea of him is. Like, if you think Bo Nickal is an inexperienced wrestler who's too one-dimensional, who will struggle on the feet because he overthrows on some of his shots, then maybe he does get pushed too fast. Maybe he beats Jamie Pickett, finishes him, and the UFC looks at that and says, hey, Marvin Vettori's next. I don't think they're going to do something like that. There is a world out there where they do push him too fast in a world like that. But I think they will try to raise him the proper wage because, again, they gave him 2 chances on Contender Series. They probably would have given him only one and then brought him to the UFC if they really wanted to rush him. So just based on that, I do think they will give him a bit of a slow burn.
And if you look at it, like I think of a former top wrestler, a guy who's commentator here. I mean, he had less than, 12 pro fights, and he was already an alternate for Strikeforce heavyweight title. And then he was just going out there and building on that progression. Strikeforce brought up Daniel Cormier the right way. So for a guy like Bo Nickal, if he's in that pantheon, and we don't know that yet, it's just a mention of a comparable, Bo Nickal could have an opportunity right there. So Craig Hart with a big super chat. We definitely appreciate that. JHK making the screen with a tweet, friend of the show. And we get set for Nickal versus Jamie Pickett from Canada. Matthew Johnson from Canada. We got the Carlos Newton flag behind us, whose name I've seen brought up recently by people in interviews.
Don't forget.
Carlos Newton, first Canadian UFC champ. He beat Pat Miletich with a bulldog choke, and then his next fight out, he lost to Matt Hughes. But hey, he was a champion.
It was wild how he choked him out, too. You could see, like, every muscle fiber in his arm. That was pre-USADA. That's all we're going to say. Those were the Wild West days. You could walk into GNC and say, give me anything.
I mean, we talk about wrestlers for wrestlers' sake. We mentioned it earlier on Question Mark Kicks. Like, somebody said, well, Greco-Roman's not the greatest. And I countered with Randy Couture because he became a two-time champion. What?
In 2006.
Well, it doesn't matter. It
does.
Still reality.
MMA has transitioned quite a bit. Greco-Roman's not as successful as it used to be.
But that's where I'm going with it. When you do talk about like wrestling back 2006 or so, remember how dominant Kevin Randleman was over with Pride? No, he never won the big fight over.
He had the grossest staph infection of all time.
Yeah, it was bad. But Kevin Randleman fights. You want to go back and see some big time fights? Go watch some Kevin Randleman fights. Gone too soon, Kevin Randleman. Matt Jamie Pickett 13-8. He's a plus 1,000 underdog.
I was watching John Lineker fights the other day. If you guys have Fight Pass out there, or ESPN Plus, I guess, if you're in the States, if that has
YouTube for the One Championship fights.
However you can watch John Lineker fights, I would highly recommend going back and checking them out. He had a very fun UFC run.
All right, Matt. Pickett in the blue corner. Bo Nickal making his debut against a multi-time UFC vet. Nickal's in the red corner.
Okay, if Alex Pereira fought Bo Nickal, what would the odds be?
Minus 175 Pereira.
Isn't it wild how close they'd be? Just because of exactly. They're both specialists and how different of their specialties they are.
How well Pereira made out against Bruno Silva in that fight.
No, but that's the wild thing. Like, the odds are that close between the champion of the division and a man making his debut.
That's the best fight about a fight like this, Craig Hart, is you can chant USA. You're cheering for both fighters. The best part is when you get a guy like Cameron Simon coming out and they're cheering for him when he's from South Africa against an American Amanda Martinez. American fans weird me out that way. We get set, for the start of...
Oh, we're late.
Nickal versus Pickett. Nickal Pickett. Matt, Bo Nickal. Feinting the takedown, coming at you.
Oh my goodness.
From the orthodox stance, whiffs on a kick. Jamie Pickett defends the first takedown attempt so far.
Probably that time with Chris Weidman.
Nickal transitions. He's got the hands locked behind the back. He's only got one underhooked as Bo Nickal. Jamie Pickett.
Takedown up against the cage. Good sign for Pickett, though, staying up so far. That's a good sign.
Surprised that Bo Nickal came out orthodox as a southpaw in this fight. Oh, did he land a kick to the ween?
Perhaps. Oh, he's on top of Pickett.
Pickett's down.
Threatening with that guillotine now.
Is he going Darce? Darce,
could be. Good
Darce choke attempt from Bo Nickal. He landed a knee to Jamie Pickett. You wonder if that... Oh, defending the head. Pickett's grabbing the back.
Now.
Not going to be able to sweep. Bo Nickal with the back. Bo Nickal too high. Bo Nickal, wow. Whoa, look at the transition from Bo Nickal. Back flat, rear naked choke. Is he going to grab it? That's it.
Going for the RNC.
Oh, no, he's going to go for a neck crank.
It's not under the chin.
He's going to transition to mount.
Really dominant so far with the grappling after Bo Nickal was able to get the takedown.
A head and arm triangle here from side from Bo Nickal, but he doesn't look like it's under the neck.
Jamie Pickett pleading his case with the ref, talking about him getting kneed in the groin.
You have to think that kick to the cup, Pickett's hanging on for dear life. That's it. That's in.
Probably a step over to side control. Maybe he'll get it from here. You can get it from full or from half guard, but...
Jamie Pickett breathing in that air.
Like Ariana Grande, just keep breathing. No?
Jamie Pickett still not tapping.
I'd like to see Bo Nickal transition to some ground and pound at this point. If the submission hasn't worked for this long, you're going to get into a better position after this point.
We need to see the instant replay of the knee after the fight. It was the, probably trademark, but the TSN moving point. Well, I won't say it. I think they've got the rights to that one. Jamie Pickett in a world of hurt in this choke attempt. A lot of time remaining in this round. What if Nickal doesn't get it? Does he burn his arms out?
I don't think he will. I think he's going to get it right here.
Jamie Pickett.
Is Jamie Pickett, like... okay, I thought he was asleep. I almost said, is Jamie Pickett alive?
Jamie Pickett, maybe he trained this position to restrict his airways a lot throughout training camp so he could still get oxygen into his blood.
How hard of a sell is that to your training partner? You want to cuddle for like 5 minutes?
Jillian Robertson's all about it.
We don't gotta get weird about it. I just need to defend a submission.
Nickal, very close to having mount in this spot now.
Who's gonna stop Bo Nickal's hype train?
Jamie Pickett Pickett
Probably
almost tapping.
Gerald Meerschaert, oddly enough, because that's how MMA works.
Now the squeeze is in, the top is in.
It is all over.
And the minus just about 2,000 favorite Bo Nickal wins in the first round. Does that surprise anyone, Matt?
No.
It doesn't surprise anyone. So we have a look here. You get the stats. It was 3-0 against 13-8. Anthony's saying you guys are great. Appreciate that, Matt. I'm going to update our Instagram, but tell us a little bit about Bo Nickal here, because that was another dominant win for Nickal.
I think Bo Nickal should fight Antonio Arroyo next. Is he still in the UFC?
No,
darn it. I think that he's going to get re-signed.
Honest to goodness, yesterday, this is a complete aside, but that's why you tune into this. Yesterday, I showed my friend, I said, hey, you want to see something really weird?
See the Wish version of another fighter?
Do you want to see something messed up in the UFC? I got a 6'3" guy fighting a 5'6" guy. You want to see Duran win Antonio Arroyo at 195? And he's like, I guess. And I showed him, and he's like, yeah, that's weird. I bet the small guy wins. And I said, yeah, you're right. Good guess. Matt, Bo Nickal,
that guy ever talked to Craig.
Pickett. You probably got a 5% return on your money if you went with Bo Nickal there. 5%. Bo Pickle.
I'm curious who they match him up with next, because again,
ranked opponent?
No, I don't think so. Gerald Meerschaert's ideal, to be completely honest with you. Like, he's too perfect. He's too dangerous, though. You never thought you'd say that, did
Wellington Turman.
Do you want to give Bo Nickal another easy finish? Wellington's had a bad run in the UFC. Bo Nickal fired up. I don't really know where you go next. I guess, chat, that's a question that's open to you guys. GM3 next. You guys like that one? I think it's a good fight. Again, Gerald Meerschaert's one of those guys who, he's very lethal if you make a mistake, be it on the feet or on the ground, because he does have surprisingly heavy hands if he can hit you clean on the feet. And of course, we all know how good of a submission ace he is. So I think that's a fun fight, but again, if you're the UFC, is that a little bit too risky, or do you want to keep on giving Bo Nickal like the minus 1100 kind of guys until he does start to refine some of those skills?
It really is tough to tell what they're going to do with Nickal next. I mean, you would have thought after the Zach Borrego win on Contender Series, it was just a straight shot into the UFC, and they kind of just cucked him and said, hey, you got to fight on the show again. You don't get to make that money, that UFC money.
They cucked him?
Well, they did. So for Bo Nickal, he gets the opportunity. Trained a lot at Penn State for this fight. Worked his boxing at Penn State. He's been an American Top Team guy for quite some time, but an interesting win for him nonetheless. Joe Rogan doing the interview with a guy who shaved his head. Had a nice head of hair at one point, did Bo Nickal.
He did.
Shaved head. So Nickal, opportunity to speak to the world. Kay Demercy isn't hot to trot about the nut shot, so we'll see how that one goes.
Like, I have a hard time buying pants because I'm tall and thin. Does Joe Rogan have the opposite problem?
No, because in my experience being like a 30-32 or 30-33, when you go out there to buy pants, there's a lot of 34-30s out there in the world.
Joe Rogan's like, he's at the short and wide section.
That's not very nice.
That's pretty funny, though. Not big and tall. They've got a back corner. Danny DeVito's back there looking at overalls.
That's not very nice. Matt, big fight, though, with Mateusz Gamrot taking on tricky fighter here in Mateusz Gamrot. So we'll see how this one goes, because when you consider both of these guys at 155, for Gamrot, he's ranked 7th. For Turner, he's ranked 10th. He gets to fight up, but he's been winning fights. And for Gamrot, we touched on this in Question Mark Kicks, and we touched on it at the start of the week. He's been dropped by southpaws in 3 UFC fights. Kutataladze, Zarukian, and Benil Dariush, as we get to see the weirdest Chicago Bulls shirt I've ever seen before on Bilal Muhammad. BJP, Yuri Prohashka, UFC light heavyweight champ Jamal Hill, and Michael Bisping and his wife. And Rafael Sunsao, and Jian Kim, and Ilir
Latifi took time off riding a horse on a beach to watch the fight. I'm as excited for this fight as I am.
You guys got Turner? I have one parlay with Gamrot and one with Turner. Then you like to play with fire. Matt, no, I don't have Jalen Turner, but the fans all did. Cool Banana Boys hanging out. The fans showing up. Matt, why you hating?
They're jokes. Have fun, guys. I'm really excited. I'm as excited for this fight as any on the card.
Jalen Turner, a Ruka Sport guy, and a monster-sponsored athlete. Who is he? Donald Cerrone? You don't see a lot of M's on the trunks anymore.
When was the last time you had a monster? Been a minute.
I had the Pink Guru
I'll
yesterday.
tell you. Is that
the
good?
Fruit Punch. It's good.
They sell Bang Energies at Irving near us.
Yeah.
And that's pretty exciting.
That goes too hard. There's less caffeine in the Canadian Bangs than there is in the American ones.
Yeah, it's not the same formula. Too. Yeah, but those, you feel like a tool walking into that place. Again, I'm tall and thin, and the people in there look like they're on gear, so I'm fine.
I'm well on my way.
All right, settle down, young fella. I think Gamrot has a great chance of winning this fight, though, with this wrestling. Again, Turner could get a finish. I'm not discounting that whatsoever. I think he has more than enough power on the feet. I just don't know how many opportunities are going to be there with the grappling of a guy like Gamrot. Now, are the openings going to be there? Maybe once or twice throughout the fight. But I really think Turner's going to have to, really, really mind himself to find those counters.
Doughboy Paul Monster, Molson, baby. I got Molson X today. I love Molson X. It's kind of like if Molson had a Miller High Life in their repertoire, that's their Miller High Life. The champagne of beers, but it's Molson X. When it does come down to this one, Mr. Rodriguez says a joke, please. 34-30 pants exist. There's also 28-32s.
Big and tall's a section. Why can't short and round be one too?
That's too hard, Matt. But when you look at this matchup, Gamrot versus Turner, and you consider it in terms of the bonuses that these guys have earned in the UFC, they've each been able to do that. And if you do look at it, 5-inch height advantage for Turner, 6.5-inch reach advantage. It's just, can he use it? Because we've seen Turner get beat up by boxing on the inside before in the UFC.
We definitely have, and that's the weird thing about Turner. He's a guy who excels at the long range, pretty good at the close range because he has the threat of the submissions in there too if someone does go for the takedown. But in the mid-range, it is weird. He's not a guy who's perfected kind of that elbowing spot or the knees at the middle either. He doesn't have the greatest boxing combinations in terms of uppercuts and hooks and combinations like Mike Tyson once did. So I think he will have difficulties if Gamrot is able to get on the inside. But again, I do worry about Gamrot's level of durability at this stage of his career.
Let's look at it for Gamrot. In the UFC, a fight of the night against Guram Kutateladze. He gets dropped as the fight goes on.
Fight should have been fight of the night. That was such a good fight.
Against Scott Holtzman, performance of the night. He finished him in the second round. He schooled him the entire time. He has a really quick finish win over Jeremy Stevens, performance of the night. Carlos Diego Ferreira, they go back and forth. The takedowns of Gamrot, and then he lands that weird awkward knee from the back. Ferreira looked like he tapped, and then Mateusz grabs the neck. It was kind of a weird one. Jason Herzog, the referee there. Zarukian drops him, and he wins his unanimous decision, but the fans are kind of split on that one, and Beneil Dariush also dropped him. So a really tough one there. But for Gamrot, great opportunity to right the ship and get back into the win column. And I think both of these guys, I know Turner hasn't fought this near the same level of competition, and it's been years that Gamrot's been fighting quality opponents as a KSW champion in the UFC. But for Turner, they've kind of ramped the heat up really nice and slow.
Yeah.
For a guy who didn't have a sexy record, I mean, think about it. Take 5 wins off Jalen Turner's record, and he's what? 8-5. Like all of a sudden, an 8-5. Yeah, an 8-5.
That's a lot of wins to take off his record, though. When you have 13 wins.
Before he started the win streak, he was 8-5. Well, 8-5 fighters aren't impressive, and now Jalen Turner's ranked 10th, and he's really impressed a lot of people.
But the flip side of that is how many guys go on 5-fight win streaks? It's not like that happens all that often. Like, to get rid of that win streak is to get rid of a significant portion of how Jalen Turner got here.
That's what I'm saying. Jalen Turner, at a point in the UFC, was 8-5, and that's not impressive at all. And now, all of a sudden, he's built his career up on these finishes and looked amazing.
The fact that he is able to get a finish for pretty much any position is the thing that makes him so unique, and that's the fun reason. This is why I like this fight for Jalen Turner. If he loses this, you know what they can do? Dan Hooker's next. If he wins this, you know what? He's probably passed up Dan Hooker in the rankings, so guess what? Dan Hooker, wait till I lose.
Yeah, you got to pick somebody in the top 15 that doesn't have much of a voice and doesn't get big name opponents.
Exactly. Like, that's my whole... Like, for Jalen Turner, he has... This is a real... You hate to say it's a win-win, because there's no such thing as that in MMA, and losses are quite devastating, and damage is a real thing. But for Turner, this is a great opportunity for him. If he loses, it's no big deal, really, because you can still get the original matchup that everybody was excited for. And I think Dan Hooker versus Jalen Turner is, at a minimum, a co-main event of a fight night. At a minimum.
Yeah, I agree. And I think you misunderstood me, Craig Hart misunderstood me, and then we finally got our point together. You go from 8-5, that's not impressive. You go to 13-5, 5 straight finish wins, that's very, very impressive. So, great work there from Jalen Turner. Now facing the former, as we said, double champ over the KSW, Mateusz Gamrot. He won that vacant featherweight championship as he was already the lightweight champ, and then he just continued the role of dominance before he ended up facing off against Guram Kutateladze in the UFC debut. Guram, just one of those, afterthoughts now in the division. We don't get to see him fight very often, but wins over Marian Shielkowski, who's now the champ over the KSW 155. 2 wins over Norman Park in a no contest. He's fought Kleber Kuike Herbst, who's the champ over with Ryzen, that then lost in his last fight over in that Ryzen Bellator mix. That was a fun fight. He really struggled in that one. Who else is on the line? Mansour Barnaoui, who's on a roll with Bellator and could very well win that lightweight tournament. Rodrigo Caballero, who else is on the list? There's a couple other ones, but you look at that for a guy like Gamrot, he's definitely gone through a really, really tough level of people. Kay DeMercy, decent left hook earlier on in the night. Matthew Johnson, I did 220. There's no way all these favorites win. I don't know. People complain.
They have so far, yeah, because the one underdog you had, the one underdog I had, both lost. So yeah, they did. Favorites winning.
It's been all favorites so far. Blackshear won one of the rounds. And
I said it, though. I said
Julie Marquez won a round 2.
I said I didn't feel good about the pick, though, and boy, was I right about that.
Yeah, that fight. I mean, Marc-Andre Barrio taking on Marquez. First round, Barrio turning away from the shots. Like, he didn't really look engaged. Should have been a TK. No. And then he was just holding on to that power bar, and Julian Marquez punched himself out, even though he trained at elevation for a long time.
I'm really excited for this upcoming fight, though. I think Turner and Gamrot's really going to be a fun one. Because, again, Turner's a prospect you can easily get excited for because of how many different areas he can get a finish at. And Gamrot's one of those proven guys. I know he hasn't had a very lengthy UFC tenure up until this point, but he's so well-rounded. And not just well-rounded at like a 5 out of 10 and everything. Like, he's pretty good at most areas of MMA. So if you're going to go out there and convincingly beat him, you really do prove that you are a top-tier contender. Like, he's a great litmus test for guys.
And I know Sean V was pretty hard in the question mark kicks chat, as he will get sometimes, but you look at that Frivola fight, it's just that lasting impression in your mind a little bit that you kind of have to worry about. Will it repeat itself? We haven't seen that from Turner in a meaningful amount of time. He's looked great in these fights, and even early on when he's winning fights in the UFC, maybe, you know, they weren't the greatest performances, but he's definitely continued to gain. You look at the quality of training partner in and around the division, you got a guy, he's just always in a champ camp. He's your favorite fighter, Matt, the former Combate great, Rafa Garcia. It's either Ruka training with the best or it's Onyx Labs with, Justin Gaethje. And he's going to have to train him up for a big fight that's coming up soon. But Matt, Jalen Turner in the white trunks. The monster logo is there. Taking on Mateusz Gamrot. We have a look at both these guys. We touched on the fact that Gamrot's fought in 3 big time opportunities for 2 performance bonuses, 2 fight of the nights in 5 UFC fights. Like, it's crazy to see a guy, 4 bonuses and 5 UFC fights. Who is he, Lando Venata?
And I think the Benil fight should have been fight of the night. That was such an amazing fight between those guys. It was a really good
Hard to believe that Jalen Turner only has 1 bonus, and that was the fight that he had, his last time out. So, a big win for him there over Brad Riddell.
The thing, too, about Gamrot is, I know he lost against Dariush. He got takedowns against Benil Dariush.
Scott Ashcombe in the corner of Mateusz Gamrot. So, former UFC guy and a KSW great, Scott Ashcombe.
I just think, like I said, Gamrot's been able to secure takedowns against guys who are significantly better grapplers than Jalen Turner's been able to demonstrate. At least consistent grapplers, not discrediting Jalen Turner's submission ability. So, for those reasons, that's why I have Gamrot. But again, should be a great fight.
Matt, as we get set for this one, as people know, this is to let you know that we have the 5-minute timer. Any weird moments in this one, we have the opportunity to pause it, get back to the action, so on and so forth, getting set for Turner and Gamrot. And this definitely has, both guys ranked in the top 10, possible top 5 implications, but a logjam division.
It really is. It is a weird division because it has a lot of big names in it too, and they're going to get the first bite at a lot of the big opportunities. So hopefully this just gets like that fight of the night quality to it, because if it does get that on a big pay-per-view, a lot of people will be talking about it. It'll boost both guys' public stock. Goodness, that was hard to say. But yeah, it should be a great fight. Again, when you have a promising prospect fighting a guy who's so well-rounded, it makes us learn a lot more about that prospect, and that's really all you can hope for.
Connor, hanging out from the Netherlands out there. Americans, Canadians are always lucky with these cards. We are pretty lucky. We're lucky. It'd be great if we were in the Eastern time zone, not Atlantic, because we're ahead a little bit, but it is what it is. It's never that bad. And we get to see that height and reach advantage that Jalen Turner possesses. Just overall, a giant frame, and he fills it out quite well in this lightweight division. He's got skinny legs, but you got to lose, somewhere. And that's for Jalen Turner, where he kind of loses out a little bit.
It is. The fight's about to start. Bruce Buffer giving the intros.
Buff's got a nice suit. Turner's got nice trunks.
Nice hair.
Can't say that he necessarily has an all-star corner, and I'm kind of surprised that he doesn't have Jason Perillo in his corner.
Yeah, good point.
You don't see a lot of Jason Perillo these days.
Really only for Vera at this point.
Not even Mackenzie Dern, eh?
No, I remember him for Cheeto. They get pretty fired up. Chris Cyborg
with Bellator.
Slaps the heck out of her. That's aggressive. That's a hard conversation, I think, to have. If you're Jason Perillo, you probably
that
say
or the
no
corner
to that
that's cool
times.
at taking Claudia Gadelia's shorts and just popping some of that water.
You're too close. You know?
Just a lot of hard-looking guys in the corner of Mateusz Gamrot. Scott,
you ever heard a weird
come
pre-game thing before any sport?
Me?
Yeah. If I ate way too much before basketball, I would play well. It was way different than it should be. But if I put down 4 hot dogs and a McChicken,
I don't recommend it, and I doubt a doctor does. But my last year midget rec hockey, I grew so big and I was really, really good. And
I grew so big? You're not a giant,
I
Craig.
used to drink a small Red Bull and a cup of Pepto-Bismol before every game.
A cup? How much Pepto?
The little tiny cup.
Oh, okay. I thought you were like Lil Wayne walking around with a styrofoam cup full of Pepto-Bismol in a hockey rink.
No, the little tiny cup.
That's pretty gangster, honestly.
We get set for Mateusz Gamrot and Jalen Turner in this matchup. Gamrot in the red trunks, the white trunks for Mr. Turner, who starts the fight off with a body kick, looking to establish his range with his jab. He's pawing that lead hand.
Is that scissor? No, Pepto-Bismol. Jalen Turner, it is incredible how that guy ever cuts to 155 pounds. I know he's kind of thin, but still, his frame does not belong in the division whatsoever.
No, and Gamrot starting to faint with the takedowns. Again, Gamrot took this fight on about 3 weeks' notice, replacing Dan Hooker, the tattoo king of New Zealand. I think the new king of New Zealand is Josh Emmett. Just a vacation of a lifetime after losing his fight to Air Rodriguez. He met the other Josh Emmett. He got his 1-of-1 UFC Panini card.
Yeah, you looked some good in that fight.
Yeah, he did. That was a good one for him.
Fast Air Rodriguez.
Upon that jab out there is Jalen Turner, the tarantula switching stance. The Orthodox opens up the...
Went over with the right hand, almost caught him over the shoulder.
Yeah, and Gamrot was trying to hit him as he switched that stance. So a big opportunity here for both of these guys. Minute into the fight.
What does a win for Gamrot get him?
That's hard to say.
The loser of Oliveira Dariush?
Another...
I guess he just fought Benil, so that doesn't make sense.
Zarukian type. And Gamrot trying to open up with his hands with the threat of the takedown.
He
threatened the single leg, but there was no intent behind it.
I think a Gaethje fight would be a fun fight, too. That would definitely be an action-packed one. Because Poirier feels like too obvious of an answer, but of course them being training partners probably makes that fight a little bit difficult. Being direct training partners, too. It's not a case where it's just they train at the same gym. The two guys do.
It's probably a guy ranked below him. And a takedown attempt from Gamrot.
Secures it.
Butts down for Turner, who's trying his best to get back up to his feet.
Just so big frame-wise. Gamrot does a good job eating up those arms, though.
He is like a fish out of water flopping around, just trying to get back up. But Turner posting those long arms up. He's trying to get his butt off the canvas, and Gamrot trying to hold him down.
I wonder if he'll be able to get up and use the cage to his advantage.
Yeah, interesting here because Gamrot's now got him kind of twisted around.
Mike Evans in the crowd? Sorry.
Hard to say. There's a man with a 10% hat on. I don't know what that means.
Green Mark Wahlberg?
10% health.
Sorry, I'm getting distracted. Mark Wahlberg and Mario Lopez?
Mario Lopez, he likes boxing, but not like Mickey Rourke likes boxing.
I think you and Mario Lopez should fight on the undercard of a Jake Paul card.
No, because Mario has to commentate. He's not Sean O'Connell. He can't commentate and fight in the same night.
I think what would the odds be for you versus Mario Lopez?
I don't know, but in a month's time, this becomes the PFL channel. I'm so excited for the PFL season.
I don't know about this becomes the PFL channel.
It's getting real over there. But Matt, Hunter Campbell in the background.
Turner doing a good job of getting back up to his feet, and that's what he really had to do. Just make sure he wasn't controlled for large portions of the round. Because here's the thing. If you get controlled for a minute, 2 minutes, if you do a good enough job on the feet, it's going to make up for the control time.
And we've seen fights. We even saw it earlier on tonight, that Loic Rajabov fight against Ribovic.
Exactly.
And to me right now, there's been Marquez Barrio probably has conversation.
Esteban looked okay.
I think that first fight of the night has conversation, or that first fight on the night has a fight of the night written on it so far. We've had some finishes, but that was a really, really good fight right there.
It certainly was. I was really impressed by Esteban, even in a losing performance.
Big shots in open space here from Turner.
That's what he's going to do. Make the most of this time spent on the feet.
It's 10x, not 10%. They sponsor Power Slap. Well, if you haven't known,
if you think I've ever watched,
can't say it.
Oh, he drops. Gamrot goes down by a big shot. That's the thing. He has been hurt many times.
Yeah, Turner's got an arm locked up, but you have to think he wants to get back up to his feet and start working some. Minute 20 remaining. Looks like he's birthing Mateusz Gamrot.
What do you call this position?
Tricky. Didn't do much with the takedown. Not judging, just saying an ever-reeler's... Oh, that's not very nice.
It's a bright colored sweater.
Say hi to your mother for me. I always thought that Family Guy thing was the funniest thing ever.
Man.
You guys watched and slapping? It's pure garbage. Haven't watched a single minute of it. Gamrot.
Sports that real athletes compete in. No disrespect, just the truth.
Well, sports where people don't have to grab your head at the end.
Well, like, you know what Giannis Antetokounmpo would never be caught dead doing? Just holding his hands behind his back and letting someone slap him.
I don't know. You see NBA players doing weird stuff in videos these days.
You certainly do. But at least they're making a lot of money while they're doing the thing that they're supposed to.
Turner back up to his feet. 30 seconds remain. And there were a lot of people out there on Twitter earlier on tonight that talked about, well, you know, he saw a knockdown in that round, but...
Yeah, how do you score this round?
It's like the Song Kanon fight against Ian Gary. Like, there were some people that scored the first round for Ian Gary, even though he got dropped and hit. Hard to say.
I don't know how you score this round, honestly. Again, I'm not a judge.
I'd say for Jalen Turner, unless there was a slip there, it's hard to say.
Because, okay, that's fair to say. I think Gamrot won the round, even with him getting knocked down. Not saying I'm right. That's my initial reaction.
The last time, and I just bring it up every time because it's burned into my memory at this point, but the last time I saw somebody dropped in a round and still win the round was Turbo Perez drop Jonathan Martinez, and Martinez still won the first round.
But it has happened on other occasions.
It has.
Like, it's not unheard of. Frankie Edgar got dropped by Jeremy Stevens and beat him.
One of those two men that I just mentioned is fighting next weekend. Really high up on the card. Really high up. J Mart's got a fight.
I don't know. That's why I'm very curious to see who the chat had it for. Craig had a Turner, I had a Gamrot, but I don't know if there's a clear-cut answer.
We'll have a look over on good performance by Nickal, but this was a clear groin shot, so we see that on Twitter. Gamrot's positional awareness and pace, but he's not doing much damage. 10-9 by JHK. 10-9 Turner from Aaron Bronstetter. 10-9 for Gamrot from Dan Yanofsky. I have to sneeze. Let's hear from you, Matt.
Wow, as the second round is about to begin. So yeah, very close first round. I think we can all agree on at least that much.
Well, let us know who you scored that first round for in the matchup, a lightweight between Gamrot and Turner.
Yeah,
Gamrot definitely cleared the cobwebs pretty darn quick.
For sure.
All right. True knockdowns get heavy preference. They definitely do. K. DeMercy saying 10-9 for Gamrot. Hard to say. I mean, Jedi Goodman, Slater, and Marky Mark. No funky bunch.
Called it, see? A keen eye for the celebrities in the front row.
Was that a knockdown? I didn't see it in the replay.
I thought it was. I thought he got dropped by a clean shot.
Gamrot still doing the same. Trying to work some of that boxing to then go for the takedown. We've seen Jalen Turner do very well with the strikes that he's thrown, but he just hasn't had a lot of opportunity to throw.
And it's really hard to be dedicated to your shots when you know Gamrot can go underneath and really try to go at you with the takedown. So I think it will be difficult for him to really gain confidence in a lot of his strikes. But
the JHK tweet made the broadcast.
There you go. But again, really close first round. Both guys had success in the one area you thought they'd have success in.
Yeah, and you can see the speed advantage here for Gamrot with not just the takedowns, the footwork, the hand speed too.
I think Turner has the faster hands.
We haven't seen him open up enough with them. Neither
But
guy,
Turner
really
has such fast. Like, he dropped him the one time he opened up, and he's getting to point A immediately when he throws.
Nice leg kick there from Gamrot on the outside. Minute in to our second round. Turner throwing a lot of feints out there too.
I was surprised to see Turner get the knockdown in round 1, too. I thought if he was going to hurt Gamrot, he'd really have to build to it as the fight went on. But that's a good confidence builder for Jalen Turner.
And for Turner in these fights and in these finishes that we've seen so far, if you do focus in on it for him, and he is the underdog in the matchup, so if he won the first round, kudos to him. Nice right hand lands for Gamrot. You look at it, he beats Brad Riddell quick in the first round, beats Marlarkey in the second, beats Medic in the first, beats Weaver in the second, beats Kulibao in the second. Kulibao on short notice up weight class, but you look at it, he's been able to do it pretty quick, so we'll see if he's able to kind of sustain that as the fight goes on, because for both of these guys, not a ton of volume so far. Big shot landed for Gamrot, and he doesn't stick around for that receive.
No, and that's the thing. Gamrot's not doing a great job at striking his way on the inside. He's just kind of throwing that one shot, trying to get out of range immediately. And you know, again, if he does stay inside, Turner has those big consequences if he's able to land. But for Gamrot, you'd like to see him work his way in a little bit more before he throws that big shot.
Big time shot landed for Gamrot. Looks like he kind of got met with one on the way in.
Yeah, I'm not sure if he got hit again or...
Nice head kick there from Turner. Nice body kick. Nice right hand for Gamrot.
Both guys really starting to open up here in the second round, but midway through.
Ooh, big time right hand for Jalen Turner. Gamrot's getting out of the way.
Gamrot does not like the pressure from Turner. He's really only answering it with either takedown attempts or just running away.
Gamrot having a hard time here. He's going to try for this takedown. Jalen Turner, the floor is lava.
Turner doing a great job with his takedown defense so far.
Nice body kick there from Turner.
Gaining confidence for sure as this fight goes on.
Cut opens up on the left side of the face of Gamrot.
Gamrot's feeling the pressure, you can tell.
2:10 left in the round.
Panicking about.
Martinez Nation saying close fight. Ooh.
Definitely.
We saw Cody Garbrandt have a lot of success ducking under. Nice left hand lander for Gamrot. He gets hit by a couple of tough ones. Turner kicking the reset. Less than 2 minutes remain here in the second round. Ooh. Big shot for Gamrot.
But that's the problem. It's big right hand, then kind of a reset. Big right hand, kind of a reset, run away when you get pressure. There's not enough consistency to his game.
Minute 30, catches the kick, and he powers Turner down. And you never know. We've seen rounds like this even tonight where fighter gets a takedown or fighter has a big action with about a minute and a half remaining. They're able to do enough with that time that remains.
Well, Gamrot, it was a close enough round up until this
point.
Mount
a crucifix from Gamrot.
Yeah, he gets that crucifix. That's a tough spot for Turner. He gets out of it, though. Good job for Turner scrambling.
Gamrot here trying to go head and arm. Just putting that shoulder pressure into it. Open up with the strikes again. Minute or so remaining here in the second round. He's going to put that shoulder pressure back there.
And right as Turner was starting to open up on the feet, too. He was really starting to have success.
Minute left here in the second round. Be so interesting to see how the judges see this fight so far.
Really hard fight to score.
Great pressure here from Gamrot. And a great way to end the round if he's able to end it from here.
Big shifts in momentum. But I think Gamrot, if he's able to get the last 45 seconds in top position, I think he'll win it.
Turner is doing everything he can with his hips to get out of this spot. Gamrot, the former 145er, on top and heavy.
It's not Shakira. Perhaps they do lie.
And you saw it earlier. You saw some really good balance on some takedown attempts.
And
a crucifix.
This is big. Not damaging shots, but those are a lot.
Yeah, really good job here from Gamrot.
Easily won the round, though. Definitely with all that ground and pound, he won round 2.
I would say so. Cool Banana Boy. Gamrot burning much more energy than Turner. Third round may swing heavily towards Turner. But we haven't seen that from Turner in years.
But Turner, he's definitely going to need the third round if he wants to win. Because it's either 2-0 Gamrot or 1-1. So Turner needs the third round.
Yeah, I've got it 1-1. You might even have it 2-0 for Gamrot. So we'll have a look back at the numbers, which just aren't there for these two guys on the UFC's website. So it is what it is. But yeah, I mean, a giant end of that second round and a momentum shift there for Poland's Gamrot.
Yeah, he looked great at the end of that second round. And again, right when Turner was starting to gain confidence on the feet, I thought he was looking good moving forward, throwing some of the boxing combinations. But Gamrot really had a good job there with top control in the second round. He did a good job with the crucifix, too. Turner had to waste a lot of energy getting out of that. So I'll be curious to see how much more he has left to give here in the third round.
Sean Sheehan has it 19-19 over on Twitter. Connor's got it 2-0 Gamrot. Doughboy Paul's got it 1-1. CK's got it 1-1. Martinez Nation 2-0. Voodoo could be 2-0 for Gamrot.
It seems like most people split on round 1 pretty even, but round 2 quite convincingly for Gamrot.
Yeah, so a big time round there for Gamrot, and this third round really means something.
100%.
So wish we could have heard from the corners in that one as we get set for Gamrot and Turner. A couple of guys at 155 in the top 10 of the division. Referee Mark Smith let Marc-Andre Barrio beat the wheels off Julian Marquez in that second round.
It's probably it for poor Marquez.
Gamrot coming out, trying to establish the center of the octagon. You got Jalen Turner, monster below him, monster on his trunks. Does he have a monster inside?
He could. If he drank like 3 liters of Monster, does that mean Jalen Turner then becomes
like
1%
there's that
energy?
urban legend that eat what, like 8 spiders a year. You think accidentally a tarantula ends up in his mouth, or they're pets, so he hangs on.
What happens? Yeah, if he gets up, he's all nervous. Like what happened to Jeffrey the Spider?
Gamrot minus 150 favorite. They show on the live line. He was bigger than that favorite when the fight started, so maybe some value if you like Gamrot.
Close though.
Turner is really doing a big shots for both guys. Gamrot landing it was weird because he landed
pay for it, though,
overhand left. Gamrot back down to that takedown. Jalen Turner is doing what he did in the first round.
Fight the cage. Exactly.
To get to the cage.
And he's got to get back up to his feet if he wants to win this fight.
A lot of forearm strength it would take to pick your body up with Gamrot on your hips.
It would, for sure.
You talk about Gamrot with those hips, though. Hips don't lie. That freestyle wrestling. That European wrestling. Matt, so one thing that I will notice, and we're talking about this fight, second fight on the main card here, I flashed up a couple of graphics for the Rebovix fight. when he's taking on Rajabov at the start of the week. Couldn't believe it. My face was just a nice, crisp tan from this past summer. And now, I mean, myself and yourself, we look translucent.
Cloudy.
Translucent.
Milky.
Surprised that you can't see the butterbean glove behind me. Turner back up to his feet.
Was that point just to make us both feel bad? Like, what was that?
We were nice and tanned in the summer. Now we're not.
Well,
to
it's
me,
warmer though.
Oh! Mateusz Gamrot just going
sicko mode.
Minikov and trying to flip Turner over top of him, the much bigger man. Does it? And Turner's back up to his feet. He's got both underhooks against the taller man who's trying to slink out of
Turner
position.
looks like a drunk friend you're trying to get into a cab right now. Just like flailed out.
No, they're going to play my song next.
I'm blinded by the lights. Keep it going. No, you gotta go home.
Gamrot doing a good job. This is veteran savvy right here.
It is, because he could be up 2-0.
This is Cody Garbrandt-esque against Trevin Jones in the first and second rounds. Turner's got to get out to get off, and we haven't seen him do that since the second round.
We haven't seen Turner get off. Wow.
Rip the headphones. Well, I was excited about a smaller man flipping a bigger man. Oh, Mark Smith! Breaking up the clinch. Mark Smith doesn't like fun. All right, we got about 2 minutes remaining. Mark Smith giving the boys a chance to let it breathe in the center of the octagon.
Let the boys breathe, bro.
This is what Jalen Turner needed. Now, Turner doing a little bit of duck, doing a switch.
Imagine he gets the knockout right here.
He switched over to orthodox earlier, and he had some success when he countered Gamrot's strikes. And Gamrot doing some belly breathing, hanging out on the outside. Now, if Gamrot's smart, he just pulls an Iron Man, runs all the way around the outside.
Big left hand by Turner. That almost wobbled.
Left hand for Turner.
Get his attention, that's for sure.
Ooh, knee on the takedown attempt, but can Gamrot finish it?
Nope, can't.
Not going to be able to get it. Minute and a half left. Turner versus Gamrot.
Gamrot, really a workhorse.
Turner pushing that pace. Going for a body kick. Gamrot going for a big right hand.
That knee met him, though.
That body shot definitely landed for Turner. Gamrot on the outside. Minute 10 remaining. Turner's got to pour on the pressure. It's on him. This fight looking a lot like Zubaira Takugov and Hakeem Dawodu. Both guys getting mad that nothing's going on, but neither one of you are doing anything. You've got yourselves to blame. Switch of the leg there on the kick attempt from Jalen Turner.
Uriah Faber knee.
Gamrot going for the takedown. Will Turner go for the elbows?
Hopefully, because he needs something big.
Gamrot wrenching for the takedown. This is going to be a tough round to score, too, because Gamrot hasn't been able to do much with these positions.
Who does Mario Lopez have it for?
E.T.? Is that what he's on? E.T.? What's he on?
Oh, I thought of the Alien.
No.
Oh, no. I was like, no, I don't think so.
I don't know what...
It'd be weird if Mario Lopez...
network Mario... Oh, Mark Smith wants to see some work. Gamrot's still going for that back. 20 seconds remain. This is one of those fights that doesn't get you much in your next fight when you win this.
I don't know. For Gamrot to take this on short notice and outwork the...
Oh, and he's in mount!
I think...
10 seconds left for Gamrot.
Yeah, I think Gamrot did a pretty good job this fight.
And I think Gamrot won this fight. I've got it 29-28 Gamrot. You got a 30-27 Gamrot.
Either that
really,
or 29-28.
Really eager to hear what the folks out there at home, hanging out, what they're thinking of this one. Gamrot's got his hands up, and Turner looks dejected.
Derek Brunson's out back. Like, if you could have let me out there.
And it's tough to say, too, because I wonder how he would have made out against Dan Hooker with Hooker's newfound wrestling that we've seen lately. Newfound wrestler Dan Hooker.
He only does that, though, when he's getting lit up on the feet. That's the problem. And if he's getting lit up by a guy like Jalen Turner, it's not a great sign. That means Dan Hooker's probably lost a lot of what he...
Is it wrong for Canadians to do impressions of New Zealanders?
I don't think so.
We're part of the Commonwealth, right? That's allowed. I'd let Dan Hooker do a Canadian accent if he wanted.
Can you imagine Dan Hooker? Oh, hey there, bud. Getting on me polar bear.
Anthony Slusser, 29-28 Gamrot.
Can
Martinez
I do an
Nation.
Of a New Zealander
3-0 Gamrot. Craig Hart, 29-28 Gamrot. Everybody's got it so far for Gamrot. Gamrot, wow, he did much better than I thought. No offense to you, Cool Banana Boy. I say this as a generalization.
Well, he had him all week, though, to be fair.
Yeah, and a lot of people had
Turner.
Had Turner, which surprised me, but that's the way people went. Blues fan with Super Chat. If Jones wins tonight, you see the John Jones of old, Who in the division would make you pick against him?
A guy who's not in the UFC
Sergey
anymore.
Pavlovich.
No, he'd mop him,
I think Jones beats Stipe.
I think Stipe has a better chance than Pavlovich, easily. Stipe has the wrestling defense. Pavlovich couldn't get taken down by Alistair Overeem.
That fight was on short
notice. But no, Alistair Overeem doesn't have the wrestling of a guy like John Jones, though. Like, I don't think that's a great...
That was years ago.
Okay, but wrestling for wrestling's sake, Stipe, I think, is a good MMA wrestler and has proven that in his MMA fights. Pavlovich doesn't go for the wrestling.
63% of the fans at Fight Night picks with Jalen Turner to get the win. 37% with Turner, 63% with Gamrot. Actually, the opposite there. We get the
Jailton Almeida. I think he has the best chance of beating John Jones.
Yeah, he just had a fight announced against Jairzinho Rosenstruck.
Yeah, and it might take him a year to get there. But I'm telling you right now, if Jailton Almeida makes his way to the title, that MFR has something about him that makes him... Like, he's so strong for how small he is in the heavyweight division that when he holds guys on the mat, there's really not much that they're able to do about it. And his striking is ever improving, too. So I think that if he just gets more time to kind of set his game and marinate... Split decision.
Yeah.
Little surprising to see that. I think most people had it either every round for Gamrot or 2 of the 3 for him. But anyways, still a win. I lost my train of thought there. I think Almeida's a guy who, if he gets into that top 3 category, is going to be a really tough test for anybody who has the belt.
It's a tough fight for sure. And you look at it for Gamrot, that's definitely
How tall is Joe Rogan?
A nice win. Well, Gamrot's supposedly like 5'10". Joe Rogan's close.
Joe Rogan has shoes on. The other guy's barefoot.
Yeah, that's true.
That's fun. Like...
He's never claimed to be that tall.
No, it's just funny, that's all. Just a little funny. Like if Pitbull was left in the microwave for too long. And he dresses like John Wick. The black on black is a popular look. Do you think Joe Rogan has a wardrobe like
one of the
Peter
judges scored a 30-27. 30-27, 29-28 Gamrot, 28-29 for
the other
Turner.
One. Interesting. Yeah. So we got a little bit of everything that time out there. Nobody in the chat had it for Turner. I thought, listen, if one person had it for Turner, I could get maybe a split decision. But the fact that we didn't see anybody pick it for him was a little surprising. Again, the first round, if you want to give him the round, I'm not going to argue with that very much. I thought Gamrot did enough other than the knockdown. But if the knockdown was enough for you to give it to him, I'm not going to argue with it. But I definitely thought he did enough with his grappling round 2 and 3 for sure to get that win.
Well, an interesting fight that we had there. And of course, our next fight, Jeff Neal taking on Shavkat Rakhmonov. We've talked a lot about both these guys, and to touch on it, if you look at it for Jeff Neal and you consider what he's been able to do, he's been out of Texas, his whole life. He's been out of Fortis MMA for a very, very long time. And if you look at it for Neal, 15-4 the total record in the UFC, 7-2 since he came off Dana White's Contender Series. He's not the most accomplished Contender Series fighters because that's Jalen Turner, and Alex Perez has already challenged for a title. Ricky Stenhouse Jr.
Jamal Hill has a title.
That's what I meant to say. Kevin, we're just showing NASCAR drivers. Ricky Stenhouse.
I was right. It is Mike Evans
hanging out with Tim Brody. But yeah, Ricky Islam Makhachev.
He has no idea who Tom Brady is, does he?
With Brian Ortega behind him.
Tom Brady's sitting next to Islam Makhachev, and neither guy knows who each other is.
Well, if you look at this fight for Jeff Neal, again, accomplished Contender Series fighters. Hill's won the title. Perez is challenged for a title, but Jeff Neal's got a lot of wins, and it all kicks off. I mean, he had a loss years ago against Kevin Holland, a loss to Martin Sano.
The Mike Perry fight was when I really started to say, like, hey, this guy could be a real contender. And I know the Nico Price fight was impressive too, but Price is one of those guys who's taken a lot of damage at this stage of his career, so you don't really know what version of him you're going to get.
Didn't like the stoppage that, referee Mark Smith had for Julian Marquez. And when Nico Price says that, it speaks volumes.
Nico Price, a man who will let things go longer than they probably should if it's up to him. But Nico Price is a very tough man.
He doesn't let the green burn longer than it needs to, though.
That man has like 17 kids. Anyways, for Nico Price, I always really like watching him fight. I have no idea where
YJ, Shavkat hasn't shown all he has yet. Might have to show more this fight.
Can he levitate in the air?
He can shoot lasers out of his eyes. Nobody knows it yet. He's going to vaporize Jeff Neal in the cage.
Thanos has that whole thing in Infinity War where he's got that knife and he's like, balanced as all things should be. That's Shavkat's record. Like, 8 submissions, 8 knockouts, and not just doing it against guys in the regional level. To have knockouts and submission wins at the UFC level against high-level guys is very impressive to do. Because normally we can see a guy get a lot of impressive finishes before they start fighting guys who have, like, good careers. But for Prazeres, Harris on, like, those are impressive wins.
You want to see some Rakhmonov fights outside of the UFC that are going to get you excited about him. The Thiago Verjao fight and the Faridun Odilov fight where he beats him at Battle of Nomads 10 back in 2018. Those are fights where Rakhmonov, even at, like, the Verjao fight's a one-round fight, but Rakhmonov withstands the adversity. He gets taken down in certain fights. He defends with submissions to then get back up to his feet. He does a lot of things well, and they've translated the UFC where he's looked very, very dominant. And even in his fight against Michel Prazeres, it took him time to download the game plan, to get into it, to then, just beat that poor little man. But if you look at it for Prazeres, he struggled with USADA more than once.
He did.
Rakhmonov hasn't so far. If you look at it for Rakhmonov as well, his last fight against Neil Magny Magny's got to be the most polarizing figure in all of MMA for fans, because
if Jeff Nowitzki's in an elevator, does he hold the door open for John Jones, or does he let it close because it's too awkward?
I don't know.
I think he's hitting that button to close a lot. Like, please don't.
Well, if you do look at it for Shavkat, and you consider it in this fight, Matt, for Rakhmonov, I mean, he's done some really impressive things in the UFC, but to beat Neil Magny the way that he did, not a lot of people do that. And if you pass that litmus test well, it can go one of two ways. You're either bound for greatness, or you're Michael Chiesa.
Zero or hero? That's really the question mark that Neil Magny...
And for Chiesa, he's in attendance tonight with Ken Griffey Jr. baseball card t-shirt. It's pretty cool.
I thought you were going to say with Ken Griffey Jr., and I was like, how the hell do they know each other?
Cincinnati Reds legend, Ken Griffey Jr.
One of the great players to ever play the game of baseball. I'm excited for the trilogy of Leon Edwards versus Kamaru Usman.
Whose career would you rather have? I'm thinking Cincinnati. Paul O'Neill or Ken Griffey Jr.? One guy won World Series, but one guy was remembered as a great. It's a tough question.
No. I would rather be Ken Griffey Jr.
Okay.
But I love Paul O'Neill.
Bernie Williams or Ken Griffey Jr.?
I think Bernie Williams should be in the Hall of Fame. I think it's actually outrageous he's not in it because he's one of the great playoff players of all time. But Ken Griffey Jr.
Pablo Sandoval, by your logic, or Ken Griffey Jr.?
Well, the difference is Bernie Williams did it like 7 years in a row, whereas Pablo was good for like 1.
Pablo, no, 2. He carried that team on his back.
He also had a belt that was large and still not large enough for Big Pablo.
The Freak, Matt Cain, Brian Wilson, good teams. Bernie Williams plays a mean guitar. Yes, he does. Yes, he does.
What's a more fun fact? I do like that one about Bernie Williams. That or the fact that Randy Johnson's a hell of a photographer.
He has his own trading card set coming out with tops.
I'm well aware of this.
Yeah, I'm a big, big unit fan. Seattle Mariners, Jefferson E. White. Yeah, Mariners are gonna have a fun team this year. If you guys like dingers, you're gonna like Teoscar. What do we think the main event is going all 5 or not? I don't think it will.
I don't think it will either.
I think it will.
I'm going to say if Jones wins, if it goes 5 rounds, we're going to be really bored round 4 and 5 trying to think of things to say. I'm going to say that right now. But I think it's going to be a finish because I think if Gane has success, he'll be able to build upon that momentum enough to where he starts landing really damaging strikes on Jones. The weird thing about Gane is he doesn't have the best killer instinct. Like, even his biggest fans would probably admit that. Like, I know in the Tuivasa fight we saw him tick it up a little bit, but that was after he got hurt himself, so of course you have to fight more of a desperate way. But Gane is happy to be on the back foot, counter-strike with you a little bit, so I worry that if he gets Jones hurt, he's not going to be able to seek the finish after that, because he's not a guy who's really going to go after it right away, and I think against Jones you might have to do that, because he has such great durability, he has such a good chin that if you get him hurt, you probably want to rush him so he doesn't have time to really recover.
Getting a little bit of a preview for Adesanya versus Pereira coming at you from Miami. Ian Machado Gary wants to fight on that pay-per-view undercard. You don't hear of a lot of people saying, I want that undercard spot. But Ian Machado Gary, undefeated in UFC pay-per-view undercards, which are all his fights in
How
UFC.
good does Jack Della Maddalena feel about himself right now? He's like, really?
I
It
mean,
was supposed to be us?
Western Australia is still standing up for that win.
He's so good. Randy Brown's good. Like, he's a good fighter, guys. And Maddalena face-planted him and choked him out. It was pretty impressive.
So's Mokam beat Carlson Harris, but he wasn't able to beat Shavkat Rakhmonov. And for Jeff Neal, again, 7-2 in the UFC. He's won bonuses. He finished Vicente Luque's last time out. Finished wins over Mike Perry, Nico Price, Frank Camacho and Brian Camozzi in the UFC to go along with a Chase Walden win over Bilal Williams. Ty Flores, Charlie Ontiveros. He didn't have a good run in the UFC, the poor
He did
fellow.
not. He got hurt.
Losses to Martin Sano, who got knocked out by Matt Semmelsberger quickly in the UFC. Lost to Kevin Holland, Neil Magny, and Stephen Wonderboy Thompson. And if you look at it for Shavkat in the UFC, again, a perfect record. His last time out, beating Neil Magny. But you do look at it, since M1 Global, he went 7-0 over there. In the UFC, 4-0 with wins over Oliveira, Prazeres Harris, and Magny. Very much the toughest test against Jeff Neal, the man they call Hands of Steel. Do you like the nickname where it ends in a Z?
No, I hate it.
Not a fan of that, eh?
I can't stand Hands of Steel.
You wish there was an S there.
No, I like Hands of Steel. It's just like, oh, Hands of Stone. I get it. It's Roberto Duran. Like, it's John Lineker, I guess. He can kind of get away with it because he fights
What's
that
a better
way.
nickname for Jeff Neal?
Keeping it real with Jeff Neal. I think that'd be really fun. He gets a show on Fight Pass based off it.
His brother probably has a podcast like that on the side.
Okay. Can
Keeping
you
it
think
real
of
with-
anything better off the top of your head?
Keeping it real with
Keeping It
Simon
Real.
Neal. I'm Jeff Neal's brother.
Yeah.
Look at me.
Get ready to feel Jeff Neal. That sounds dirty, though. That's a pickup line for Jeff Neal's at the Barhead.
Why hasn't Jeff Neal fought in 8 months? Oh, it's because his nickname's...
You want to get ready to feel Jeff Neal? Ooh, not really.
He's just been slaying on the side. Hasn't picked up fights.
He'll pull, though.
They bring him food, so he stays home. We haven't seen Jeff in the gym in weeks.
Jeff the Real Deal Neal? That's good.
Yeah, but the real deal we've seen before. Keep him coming, though.
You haven't thought of what? You challenged me and thought you were going to be all keen, but...
No, I gotta think. Jeff
That's
O'Neal?
what I mean.
That's not it. The Allen Bros are 66 or 67% rate when they bet on a fighter. Don't bet against too often. I think it might be higher than that. Voo Dude. Jeff O'Neal. Like, Jeff...
Electric Feel O'Neal. That'd be great. Jeff Electric Feel Neal? He has a walkout song made for him, but not really? What's your deal, Jeff Neal? Deal or no Neal? I've come up with 17 and you can't come up with one.
I can cut the promo. My name's Jeff Neal, and after this fight, you're gonna feel like you stepped on it. I'm Jeff the Banana Peel Neal.
That took that long.
Banana Peel.
See, Electric Feel gets some love.
Matt, Shavkat Rakhmonov wears dead animals on his head, and for his teammate, Brendan Allen, it works out pretty well. Now, you caught a stray this week. I don't know if you're aware of it. You ended up in a Brendan Allen highlight lowlight video on his Instagram where he and every single fighter that trains at his gym beat the heck out of you and every other MMA predictor that picked Brendan Allen in his fight. Or didn't pick Brendan Allen in his fight. And I watched it, and I looked at all the comments where everybody's like, look at these losers. They don't know anything about MMA. MMA fighters don't really do the best at making videos like this.
I'm going to take a second, because here's the thing. Do you know what NBA players don't do? Do you know what MLB players
Kevin
don't
Durant
do?
does.
Do you know what NHL players don't do, or professional athletes in some of the major sports in North America and really throughout the world do? They don't care. You know why? They have other things to do because they're professional athletes. So if my opinion bothers you that much, Brendan Allen, then guess what? I don't care at all. I'm sorry. I'm going to say stuff that's funny. It's going to be real silly. I'm going to keep it real light in the MMA world. Because guess what? Every headline in MMA is the most depressing thing in the world. And it's basically like MMA fighter X just threw a bag of kittens into a river. So guess what? I'm not trying to bring that doom and gloom to the MMA world.
You know what the best part about it is?
What?
The best part about the whole thing is that in the pre-fight video, I said specifically, Brendan Allen watches our videos.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, Brendan.
Imagine being like as sensitive as Kevin Durant, but not having like the titles and the MVP and the millions of followers.
Well, he's look
and
good
stuff.
against Southpaws. He won
That's
that fight.
great. Good for you, Brendan Allen, but get over yourself.
Shavkat Rakhmonov, a little bit of a shaved fade.
He
into
does.
Here.
Shavkat
South
Rakhmonov.
Florida is kind of waving off on Shavkat.
Do you think he goes to the bars?
No.
I think he lives a disciplined life. I think he'd probably have like a happy hour cocktail at like...
No.
No, just one.
Shavkat, what would you like to drink? You think he's going out there and going, give me a Dave Matthews. I like Fredericton's drink.
I love a Dave Matthews.
Who doesn't?
But like, I'll put down.
I'm trying to let the people learn. I was in Laval about a month ago and I said, you guys make Dave Matthews? And she goes, what's a Dave Matthews? And I said, oh.
You said, listen, here.
Come here for a minute. Fredericton's got a drink and it's more than local famous, but not.
And it hits like nothing.
Yeah, it's weird. Canada,
no, that's only open outdoors in the summer in our city, and they make it better than anybody.
You know where the Caesar came from? Calgary, Alberta.
I know, it's Canadian. It's one of our great inventions. Up with the Canada arm. That's on the International Space Station. That's pretty cool. What else is great? Basketball was invented in Canada. Shout out James Naismith.
Jeff Neal making the walk. Safe Sood loves to wear ball caps, and he curves them. I like that. Nice curved look to a flat brim ball cap. But Safe Sood, one of the better coaches that you're going to find out there at willing his fighters to win. And if they don't have the will, he'll instill the will in them. Kennedy Nzechukwu, one of those fighters, who's got a big fight coming up. It was just announced. So Kennedy,
when Kennedy's on, you got to watch out. Like a boulder rolling down a hill, he gains momentum.
He's tough. He gets finished in odd fights, but he's tough.
Unlike the thin-skinned Brennan Allen, who's not tough about things that people say on the internet. Imagine saying, hey, you have a good chance of winning a fight, but I think the other guy's going to win. And then just being like, ugh, that really grinds my gears. Get over yourself.
At the start of the week, I said, his striking looks amazing. And his takedowns, they're good. And his grappling's very good. Those jackets y'all make are good. Oh, the Canada Goose ones, yeah. I don't have one. They're
Roots is a pretty good brand.
Roots is good.
Roots. I bought a Roots sweater like 6 years ago that's like still pretty good. Like their stuff stays good for a real long time. It's kind of pricey, but it's nice.
They have like a museum type store in Boston, and I went there with my wife and her parents, and when we walked in, they were like, hey, do you guys know Roots?
Do I?
We said, yeah, we're from New Brunswick. Like, oh, okay.
Bear shit in the woods.
You guys enjoy. Have a fun walk here. Neil looks nervous. Come on. He always looks
He's
the same.
He's not Megan Anderson fighting Amanda Nunes.
Louis Bond. No.
Tired, to be honest. It is 12:15.
It's 12:15. It's hard to bring the energy of our 2-hour videos.
I'm not Lady Annabella in that song in 2009.
I just need you now.
I need you now. You chugging that Molson, Craig? Get it together.
I'm not going to chug them. There's about 3/4 left.
All right, put her back.
I don't give in to peer pressure. Maybe the energy is just different to the videos. Louis Bond, we amp ourselves up the opposite way for those videos, and you get amped up for fighters that you've never heard of before. Jeff Neal, Shavkat Rakhmonov.
If you think we shoot the videos from 12 a.m. until 2 a.m.
We probably talked about Jeff Neal and Shavkat Rakhmonov for at least a solid hour at this point this week. By the way, Matt in a Celtics jersey, his IG profile pic. Oh boy, the call-out starts. The call-out starts.
Oh no, I like the Raptors. I just like other teams' logos and stuff. You can like basketball.
Yeah, there's 2 Celtics jerseys in the closet.
And let's be honest, Craig, if we're going to call anybody out for just cheering for multiple teams in every single sport, I'm going to call you out a little bit. In baseball, you've got a number of favorite teams.
I just like watching the teams for the players. The Jays is the team.
Along with the Red Sox in every article of clothing and every video we make.
No, I wear Fight Night Pick stuff like a pro, Matt. Jeff Neal taking on Shavkat Rakhmonov. And this has big-time implications for the top 10. Just like Gamrot did against a guy in Jalen Turner. You look at this one, it's 10 versus 7 once more. Now, all of a sudden, Rakhmonov's ranked 9th. So they made a move there. But Jeff Neal on the back foot already. Shavkat going for the head kick. Jeff Neal trying to land some tough, stiff shots up the middle.
That's the thing about Rakhmonov. He can kind of throw strikes from wherever he wants to because he's not really going to be worried about the offensive takedown of a guy like Jeff Neal. Now, if Neal does go for the takedown, I expect Rakhmonov to have a lot more success grappling off of his back and not just looking for some of those lockdown positions. But it should be a really interesting fight. Again, if Jeff Neal can keep this fight at range, at kicking range, I think he'll have success.
Jeff Neal doing well with his strength so far. Backing Rakhmonov up against the prime blue corner. It's weird that the prime blue is different than the blue corner blue, that they didn't switch the blue that they put on the tape and whatnot.
It is what it is, I guess.
Jeff Neal throwing a lot of offense so far. No, there's not going to be any shaving of the heads. I'm not doing that.
No. I like my hair.
I got to look like a professional when I go to work. Jeff Neal trying to throw that left hand. Ooh, some big shots from Jeff Neal.
Yeah, Rachmanov moving away from them, but he's got to watch out because Neal's got big power.
Neal's doing a good job of getting past those straight shots and landing, like, again, going for that left hand. Landed a nice right as well on the 1-2s. Now Shavkat's starting to get through with some of his volume on the outside.
He's doing a good job, though, with some of those uppercuts when Neal does close the distance too much.
Both guys fighting with a high pace so far. A nice knee there from Rachmanov.
Very active is Rachmanov so far.
Going for the trip takedown. Neal, you talk about balance so far. He's done a great job.
Rachmanov doing a good job, though. Knees up the middle, hooks, just being, again, really active all throughout.
Craig Hart wants the super chat to motivate us. I'm not shaving my head. I dye it blue or something. 3 minutes remain here. Round number 1. Both guys. Shavkat, nice 1-2. Like Ian Machado Gary earlier on. I threw the tweet out there. It was just 1-2 city.
Shavkat's so big for the division, too. Big welterweight.
Neal missed weight by 4 pounds. Such a joke. Oh. Kick caught. And Jeff Neal, the floor is lava. Getting out of the way. Nice right hands land for Shavkat. He wants these knees here. Ooh.
Jeff Neal's coming close with some of these big shots.
Jeff Neal's throwing cinder blocks.
Big right hand by Shavkat down the middle, though. Good pullback right.
Like the concrete store was having a sale.
Both guys have landed big shots this opening round.
Just over halfway done this round. Nice knee there from Shavkat.
Good left hand, though, on the exit from Neal.
We saw that earlier on in the night. Gary was trying to invest in the body just a little bit. And it played out quite well. Really with his leg kicks was the difference maker in that fight as well. But Jeff Neal's done a pretty good job here so far. Big underdog.
That's a big kick by Shavkat.
Shavkat with the lean back, and it works for him.
He's countered a few times with it, too. It's not like he's just moving back and not doing anything.
Think Shavkat Rachmanov's ever listened to Fat Joe in his life?
Never.
Not even like a stray at the gym? Ooh, nice left hand lands for Jeff Neal.
He'd probably start acting differently immediately, though.
Jeff Neal, another nice left hand.
Shavkat did a good job, though, moving his head there at the end of it, though.
He's shuffling on that outside.
He is, doing a good job. Big
nice
head kick
there from Shavkat.
Neal might be hurt on that head kick.
I think he hurt him. Neal's now the one initiating the clinch and some nice knees there.
That head kick, though, definitely got his attention.
Ooh, another nice knee. Rachmanov trying to wear on those gas systems. Jeff Neal looking like he put diesel in a gas engine. Sputtering.
You could almost call him Electric Feel Neal.
He looks like he slipped on a banana peel. Shavkat, hip to the clinch. Less than a minute remains. Herb Dean breaks it up.
But is Neal the real deal?
Why did Herb Dean break that up?
Got big money on Jeff Neal.
Was there an illegal shot? Is the mouth guard
out?
out?
Mouth guard. Okay. Didn't know that.
Mouth guard's out. Are we getting position back?
No,
Are you kidding me?
I didn't know
the clock didn't even stop.
It's all good, Craig.
Ooh, the slip there from Rachmanov on a big-time whiff from Jeff Neal. The steering wheel was too small, and it whiffed right out of the window. Less than 30 seconds remain. Shavkat landed big shots. Jeff Neal. Big-time right hand lands for Rachmanov. Less than 20 seconds remain.
American Steel Sex Appeal Neal?
That's too long. So Shobi-Wan
If you're going to have a mouthful, though, it might as well be as nice as that.
Oh, big hook slam for Jeff Neal.
Good defense, though, by Shavkat pulling back. Normally you hate it, but...
He's fighting like Luke Rockhold in this fight. Matt Rachmanov wins the round.
I would say.
Herb Dean just letting stuff go.
Herb Dean on that foolishness. You know, KFC follows him, and that's pretty prestigious. Living Herbs and the 5 Spice Girls, and Herb Dean happens to be one of those herbs. I've always thought that was very funny that Herb Dean is one of those herbs. 10-9 Rachmanov, though, great opening round. I would say this is well on its way to being fight of the night if we get 2 more rounds like that.
Oh, I mean, Ribovics and Rajabov was very, very good.
Both
if it keeps going like this through 3 rounds, yeah, I don't see it going 3 rounds the way it's going right here.
Well, even though, like, that was a great opening round by both guys. We saw Shavkat get tested, eat some big shots.
Debbie Elder's got a 10-9 Rachmanov. Jonathan's got a 10-9 Rachmanov. Neal looked good in the first, but got to be 10-9 Rachmanov. And Hart talking about those knees. Mr. Craig Hart talking about the knees. I'll get rid of the timer there because we're not started in the second round just yet. We get ready for round 2 of action. Herb Dean officiating, people standing in the background in front of people who are sitting. That's got to be just disrespectful. And now we have to start round number 2, and these two guys are coming out swinging.
Swanging and banging.
So when a fighter gets hurt, just spit your mouthpiece, and Herb Dean will let it stop.
Pretty much.
Come on, Herb.
You can get away with some foolishness in MMA. Just poke your opponent in the eye one time, you'll get a warning. Just really make it count that one time.
Nice right hand lands for Jeff Neal. Shavkat going through some adversity in this fight.
By far fighting the best fighter, though, he's ever fought up until this point, so to be expected.
Nice kick there from Rakhmonov. And a kick attempt from Neal, and he resets back into the southpaw position. Rakhmonov looking to initiate the clinch. Jeff Neal hip to it. Jeff Neal! Nice hooks. They're showing the body stats for Rakhmonov.
Yeah, he's doing a lot with those knees.
Jeff Neal landed. Oh, that knee hurt
back
him.
at his attention, yep.
Rakhmonov with a pullback. Another nice body kick there from Rakhmonov.
These are great body attacks.
Neal with a big suck of the ear there. Dricus should be FON. Joe Rogan, Herb is the best. When did he say that? In 2008?
Well,
Herb Dean has won.
That was the last time Joe Rogan watched every card.
World MMA Award Referee of the Year somewhat recently. I don't know how that magazine really goes about its criteria. But a minute 20 into this round, Rakhmonov initiating the grappling. He's having success on the feet.
He is, but still good to mix it in, though, because I do think he has an advantage if they do end up hitting the mat. Tough to get the takedown, though, on a guy like Neal.
His balance is so good, Jeff Neal.
Yeah, that was a great job defending that takedown.
Great job. Expending the energy is Rakhmonov, and Dean Thomas gets a word in here on the broadcast. Nice body kick from Rakhmonov and a couple of jabs. Ooh, they meet. You wonder if there's a clash of heads there.
That was a shoulder, but there has been a lot of close ones.
Ooh, some nice shots here from Neal. Rakhmonov's hands are quite low. He overextended on that right hand.
To be fair, though, nobody fights like this for 3 rounds.
Rakhmonov with a nice right hand of his own, pressuring Jeff Neal. Neal flurries back. Looked like he hit the arms there. Nice jab from Rakhmonov. Double up, triple up. Closing in on halfway through the second round. Rakhmonov on the body. Ooh, some big hook slam for Jeff Neal.
Yeah, those were clean
shots. Oh, and a left hand lands, and Rakhmonov smiling.
Got his attention for sure.
And if you know second round Brunson, he smiles, and it's bad. So, Rakhmonov, you worry. Oof. Ooh, big uppercut from Rakhmonov.
That was a great job slipping and getting on the inside.
Ooh, trying the elbows. Jeff Neal lands.
Big shots on the inside from Jeff Neal.
We get the heck of a fight right here. The over hits. Closing in on 2 minutes left. Round number 2. Really close second round. Jeff Neal starting to bleed.
Showing damage, yeah. Wonder what caused that.
Pummeling the underhooks. Jeff Neal looking to get out of the grappling sequence. Yeah, that eye's hurting him. Herb Dean's getting a look at it. Shavkat's going to look to pump that right hand out there. Ooh, big one landed. Jeff Neal paws at it. Nice jab there from Shavkat.
Close on that knee up the middle, too.
Neal's going to have to let it all hang out. Right hand lands for Shavkat.
Good kick.
Nice kicks. Too. Ooh, big hook slam for Jeff Neal. Shavkat smiling.
Rakhmonov's eating big shots on the inside. Still having success.
Triple up on the jab again from Rakhmonov. Neal clinches up. Minute 15 remaining. Not the easiest round to score so far.
No, not at all. Rakhmonov being the more active, but Jeff Neal definitely landing big shots.
Yeah. Rakhmonov's just warned them so well so far. Minute remaining. Jeff Neal pressuring up against the cage. You see the total strike numbers for round number 2, but definite power shots for Neal. Not a lot of blood either out of that left eye for Jeff Neal. Ooh, nice knee there from Shavkat.
Eats a hook for his trouble, though.
Jeff Neal not throwing a lot of anything in that exchange. Ooh. Look out for that lead uppercut again. Jeff Neal. You want Neal to win so bad. No. Pick Shavkat to win. Why would I want Jeff Neal to win? Less than 30 seconds remain. Round number 2. Rakhmonov and Neal. Neal with a big right hand.
Jeff Neal, though, hits him with a left.
Ooh, nice uppercut to the body there from Rachmanov.
And the body work really has been the work.
And Neal didn't really look all that good after he got hit by that shot.
No,
5 seconds left.
Going to a third, though.
Ooh, big hook there from Neal. Tougher round to score than the first one.
For sure. I'm going to ever so slightly favor Shavkat, though.
You're going to say Shavkat? I'll say Shavkat, too. You get a little bit of a look at the body work. I'll have a look on Twitter just to see what the folks are saying about this one.
Great round, though. Really good fight so far. Like, Jeff Neal has been a tough test for Shavkat so far.
Anthony Walker. Shavkat has horrific boxing defense. Yeah, he does. We'll get a little bit more of a look. Shavkat needs to be careful in the third round. Jimmy Manoa. Jeff Neal's still into this going into the third. Alexander K. Lee. I have 2 rounds for Shavkat. Shaquille. 2018 Shavkat. So most people do think Shavkat is ahead on the scorecards. Jonathan has Rachmanov 20-18 in this one. Jeff Neal getting that right hand shook out by Saif Saud, who's lost the ball cap. Maybe out of frustration, he just winged it into the crowd. Who knows?
Getting serious now.
All right, we get set for round number 3, welterweight action. Live odds suggesting Rachmanov. He's a pretty big favorite coming into this fight. Jeff Neal missing weight probably doesn't help him in the third round either. You wouldn't think. He's definitely looked good so far. Made everybody forget about the weight miss, really.
Landing big shots, too.
Center of the cage, Jeff Neal stunting on him like he's Cody Garbrandt against Trevin Jones. You never thought we'd say that. Now, John Jones already has the post-fight party at Hakkasan on the strip. Whoa! Spinning wheel kick, Shavkat for that. Where do you think the Cody Garbrandt post-fight? Where do you think that's at? White Castle? Oh, Jeff Neal!
Big shots by Jeff Neal. Shavkat might be hurt. That's a knockdown, if you ask me.
No, he didn't hit the canvas.
His hands touch the ground. That's a boxing knockdown. It's a knockdown. If your hands touch the ground, it's a knockdown to me. I'm sorry.
He wobbles Shavkat, and the cobwebs aren't necessarily all that clear. Jeff Neal throwing every ounce of power he has.
He lands
the left hook.
The long range, but on the inside, that's when Neal's really able to land.
Jeff Neal continuing to pressure forward. He's landing just about every shot in these exchanges.
Good jab, though, by Shavkat. That one stopped him there.
Rachmanov's fighting his way back into it. Ooh, the dip.
And Jeff Neal's the guy who's known to carry his power late, so this isn't surprising at all.
Nice knee from Jeff Neal as Rachmanov tries to clinch, and we haven't seen Shavkat have that wrestling edge like he's had over everyone else throughout his career.
And good on Jeff Neal for really making him pay on the feet with the big power shots when Shavkat does get a little overzealous and get on the inside too much.
Neal gets out of it, but Shavkat's going to try and get a single leg here.
Smart, too, if you're Shavkat.
The balance of Neal's been able to hold up in these single leg attempts, and it does again.
Because Rachmanov's had good entries on a lot of these takedowns, but yeah, Neal's just had really good takedown defense.
Almost 2 minutes into round number 3. Herb Dean doesn't like clinch situations regardless.
At all. Hates them. An MMA clinch broke up his parents, perhaps. And it's just been a sore subject ever since.
In a KFC parking lot. So KFC had to have his back.
We got you, Herb. Here's a follow.
Jeff Neal doing such a good job getting out of these positions in the grappling.
Wearing it, though. That eye is not looking great.
Herb Dean, got to see some work there. Let's work. Is that pretty good? He does it again. Let's work. You have knees in the clinch, breaking from the back of the cage. If Herb Dean breaks it, you got to be kidding me.
I don't care.
Oh, nice knee there from Rachmanov. But Jeff Neal coming out fists of fury in the second and third.
He definitely has shifted the tide into his favor, that's for sure.
Ooh, he lands a couple more. There was a right hand that landed in the exchange from Rachmanov. Jeff Neal pressuring forward. Rachmanov on the outside again. Echoing. Oh, big right hand lands for Rachmanov.
Wow, Neal looks hurt. Oh, Rachmanov can't just wild, though, because Neal can hit him with big shots. This
left hand landed from Jeff Neal.
That's a big body shot, too.
Jeff Neal still firing away.
Oh, mon Dieu. What is happening?
Oh, elbow from Shavkat. Herb Dean doesn't like the cage work.
Jeff Neal is tougher than a $2 steak. Got that dog in him.
Oh, my God. The blood just squirting out of his nose. Shavkat going for a takedown. Shavkat, we don't want the takedowns. Just keep it at boxing range.
Incredible stuff so far.
Jeff Neal's grappling defense in this fight is insane.
Where's Bo Nickal at? Trying to take down Jeff Neal. Then we'll talk.
Where all this cardio coming from?
Someone invested in a Peloton this camp.
Let's work. You gotta be kidding me. He's got his back and he's landing significant strikes.
Those aren't significant strikes, Craig. You get too fired up. No, those aren't, like, knees to the back aren't significant strikes. Those aren't even counted as such.
I bet you they are.
They're not. They are strikes. Daniel Cormier brought it up. That's the only reason I know. No, shake your head. It's just, I'm not wrong on this.
Dominic Cruz called Mana Martinez.
That's fine.
No.
Fight. Whatever you want.
Standing rear naked choke attempt from Shavkat.
I think he might have it. Jeff Neal just...
He got the top! Wow. A standing rear naked choke from Shavkat Rakhmonov. Undefeated record, all by another finish. Sub. And boy, oh man, did he ever withstand some adversity in that fight, Matt. We don't see a lot of standing submission wins like that.
Reminds you of Devin Clark versus Jan Blachowicz.
Emmanuel Sanchez and most of his submission wins, but Matt, Shavkat Rakhmonov gets it done. Neal just took a beating. Debbie, we watched different fights.
At the end he did, that's for sure. But he was definitely doing a great job up until that point because it did feel like momentum had started to shift in Jeff Neal's favor before Shavkat was ultimately able to get the finish. But that right hand really is what changed the momentum in his favor because Neal had Rakhmonov hurt, had him wobbled bad there at one point. But that right hand, as they show the replay right now, straight down the middle, that had Neal in all sorts of trouble right from the get-go. And after that point, it was a little surprising to see Rakhmonov go for the takedown like you would point it out. But, I mean, it worked out in the end for him.
Worked out for him there.
And another finish. Kind of wild, isn't it? 17-0 with 17 finishes. Incredible
Next
stuff.
time out, he's got to get the knockout to keep it even.
I think that's the fight of the night, too. I really do. I think that's the best fight in the card. That was such a good fight. That
War for Tricks was all about it. That one in the opening fight of the card, but that one right now, I think that's your fight of the night so far. Love how Shavkat walked away. Like he's Mark Hunt. Like he's John Jones.
Curious to see what they match him up with next.
Doesn't even, like, keep him standing. He just lets him fall.
Well, yeah.
It's hard to say. I mean, you look at the way that this division's shaped up.
Knock him out. He's probably not going to, like, put him down slowly.
Jeff Neal on the stool. Shavkat with the animal on his head.
What is that made out of?
I mean, it's got the little feets on it.
It's got the little feets on it.
Yeah, it's got the little feets on it.
Because it's not a raccoon. I don't think they have that. Uzbekistan is where he's from, right?
He's from Kazakhstan.
Oh, I thought on Tapology, I thought it said Uzbekistan. That's my bad. I don't know what the indigenous fauna is in Kazakhstan. That's my bad. I wish I had that information for our viewers. They must have some type of deer there.
Well, it's not a castor.
It's not.
Big problem in Chile.
Gotta watch out.
Shavkat Rakhmonov ranked 9th. He beat the 7th ranked Jeff Neal. They call him Banana Peel.
By they, are you just looking in a mirror?
Could be.
I think that's a muskrat.
Matt, Shavkat Rakhmonov. Joe Rogan's wearing some type of animal, which I assume is typical for him once he goes home. He curls up in a bear skin. Just... a black bear skin, it would probably fit.
Probably the first time he's ever seen Rakhmonov fight. He's like, you're really good. I could... What? They do free fight nights? What are you talking about?
Where did this guy come from?
He's pretty good, I guess.
He did have Sonny from Best Food Review Show on, or Best Ever Food Review Show on. I watched that episode.
That guy annoys me, I gotta be honest. Gets on my nerves.
Who, Sonny?
Yeah.
Why?
I'm not a fan.
He's always positive.
But it's too much.
No, I love it.
No, it has to be food for the food's sake. I have very specific criteria to what I want.
He is a zest for life.
I don't care. The greatest cooking show of all time was hosted by Anthony Bourdain. It wasn't just about, like, a zest for life. It was just, like, you make the food good.
And maybe I should drink vodka and smoke darts every night.
I know people who live that lifestyle, and they get up to wild stuff most nights of the week.
You know what? For the viewers that are paying attention to this one, you know what I did today? We went to the market.
I can't wait for this story.
And I bought vegan spread for my buddy Chad. Dill pickle and jalapeno popper. He's selling vegan spread. Good stuff. It was a big day.
Show where Craig tells us the most boring.
Well, I thought of vodka and darts, and that's what made me. That's where I went with it.
Wow.
Shavkat Rakhmonov, a definite finisher to the nth degree, though. and a big win over Jeff Neal. And, again, second round and third round. He hit some really big shots. And he definitely has some things to work on as we move forward.
He does, but the good thing is the one hole in his game, it got exploited by Jeff Neal. But the thing is, how many other guys can box in the inside to the level of a guy like Jeff Neal? It's a very short list in this division. So for Shavkat Rakhmonov, I do think this is one of the more difficult tests he was going to face on his way up. I will be curious to see how he deals with a guy like Colby Covington, perhaps. Maybe that's a name that's out there that he could go up against. The problem is, Covington is a good opponent for a guy like Rakhmonov, but the thing about Covington is you always want him to fight a guy who's going to give him a lot in press conferences and whatnot.
Nobody wants to fight an undefeated guy that English isn't the first language and it doesn't sell.
Well, yeah, Covington's a guy who is going to get a lot of people involved just from, like, a casual perspective because of bigger news sources, because he really gets his name out there. What are they going to say next to each other in a press conference? There's not really a lot to go off of. Skill-wise, that'd be a phenomenal fight. I'd be really excited for it. So I don't really know who they match him up with next. Gilbert Burns is, like, kind of too obvious because
he's fighting Masvidal, too.
Oh, is that? Yeah, I guess, yeah. Shamaev, I guess. Just do that. I'll be happy. Shamaev's never fighting at 170 again, though.
I mean, if you look at it for Rakhmonov and you consider it at Killcliff FC now, he's kind of to the point where men weren't meant to ride with clouds beneath their knees. I'm only a man in a funny red
You had to look up the lyrics for that joke? That's tough.
It's not easy. Ooh, ooh, ooh. He's a human being, so he definitely does have things to work on. But again, still undefeated. All wins by finish. Henry Hooft, who couldn't coach the first fight of the night between Ribovics and Rajabov because he coaches both of them. Weird when fighters fight, each other from the same gym. He called out Colby Covington.
I'd love to see it.
So would I. Colby's had an uptick in his boxing, too, so it'd be interesting to see what you get out of a camp. Another one, you get South Florida and South Florida there. Killcliff taking on MMA Masters. Big-time gym. Eileen Perez's gym nowadays. Eileen Perez, the king of the dunks. I guess the queen of the dunks.
I thought Lisa Leslie was the queen of the dunks.
Marky Mark and the Funky Bunch.
I called that out an hour and a half ago.
Brandon Moreno with a guy that was signed to the UFC, but then they didn't put him in the UFC. A guy who was supposed to fight
Lomachenko and his... I was going to say, Lomachenko's manager's there. Is Loma there? And he is.
Jake Gyllenhaal already fought tonight, and now he's there. And I hope that's his wife grabbing his chest.
Like, be awkward if it's not.
Man, Jake Gyllenhaal won the middleweight title. Oh, there's Tough! Hunter Azure.
You got to stop screaming for
Cody
Hunter
Gibson.
Azure?
UFC, or Dana White's Contender Series vet Mondo Gutierrez. Tough winner.
Timur Valiev, that's surprising.
Timur Valiev being on the Ultimate Fighter is a farce.
You don't have to watch it, Craig. I never do. Ultimate Fighter, I just don't care. I'm sorry, guys. I don't care about the Ultimate Fighter. I have not in a very long time.
This season, though, has UFC.
I know, but every year they add new twists, and it's every year I'm supposed to care about it for a different reason. I just, like... Jason Knight, there's a good chance he wins, and I've seen Jason Knight in the UFC. Like, I know what the expectations are for a lot of these guys. I don't think they've all gained tremendously outside of the organization. That's all. Like, Jason Knight's fought a lot of bare-knuckle fights since then. He had that fight, the wild fight with Artem Lobov. That got a lot of press. That was a big deal. Grasso's female Moreno vibes. But, yeah. Grasso with the upset. It would be wild to see. Because nobody would expect that. That's one of those upsets that, okay, is odds-wise, is it the biggest upset of all time? Maybe not, but this is a fight that would have genuinely, like, surprising results if Grasso was able to go out there and get the win.
Yeah, Alexa Grasso, I mean, career-wise, she's lost to some of the better women at 115 pounds. You look at it, I mean, Tatiana Suarez is the fight that you go back to, first-round finish loss, and that is tough. But at 125, Grasso's really definitely found a home. And I mean, made her way into a title shot. She got a great win in a main event that proved herself her last time out. Before that, a submission win. Who would have thought the boxer was going to get a submission win over Joanne Wood? So all impressive stuff there. But you do consider it for somebody like Alexa Grasso and some deficiencies that she's shown. I know they showed it in the countdown that, like, Lobo MMA, it's really kind of grown in Mexico. And you've got Irene Aldana, who's somehow just never been able to figure it out at 135 and get to that title shot. But definitely, deserving for Grasso. Although, again, Manon Fiorot in that conversation, now we've seen that kind of surge in Erin Blanchfield, who's been there all week. She had that little, like, weird round table DraftKings thing with John Anik, and, like, That was too forced. And then she also did like the fighter interview backstage. She was one of the featured fighters, as was Michael Chandler tonight. So a good building block for Erin Blanchfield in Vegas, and maybe she gets the next title shot. If it's not, Manon Fiorot.
You would expect it to be one of those two. And I mean, ideally, those two fight each other, and then we get kind of an obvious number one contender as a result from that fight. And that'd be a great fight, too, because both fighters have an obvious advantage in both parts of their game. But I just think for Grasso, this is going to be a difficult fight for her, because in the one area of her game where she has an X factor over most people, well, Shevchenko's going to be able to answer a lot of the striking on the feet. And then on the mat, for as many improvements as Grosso's been able to make up until this point, I still don't think it's enough to bridge the gap between her and where Shevchenko has obviously been for the majority of her career.
Yeah, be interesting to see what we get out of these two. And again, like, you consider for somebody like Valentina Shevchenko, she goes and trains at holes in the wall. Like, she never goes to these massive mega gyms. Every now and again, you see her like at the PI and she's with like a big name. But other than that, she goes to small gyms. We've talked about it a lot before her fight with Jan Jacek, where she trained in Brunswick, Maine with regular folks.
Shout out.
But for this fight, like, most people trying to acclimatize themselves to the time difference. And Shevchenko has had a lot of camps out of Vegas. And then she went all the way to Japan for this camp against Grasso, which is just different. And, you know, Japanese and English, probably a lot different. I don't know Japanese. Mike Goldberg struggled with it one time.
Where is this going?
The point is, with this one, for Shevchenko, I'd like to see what kind of a wrinkle she can employ, and I'd like to see what kind of a game plan Pavel was able to come up with for this one.
I don't think we're going to see anything new from her.
Not going to see anything new.
Well, she's in her mid-30s, and she's been champ for 3 years now, so rarely do fighters make improvements at this stage of their career. That's all.
Drop the mic. Valentina going to remind everyone why she's the GWOAT tonight. My GWOAT is Chris Cyborg.
Mine's Amanda Nunes. Amanda Nunes fought Chris Cyborg. And that ended in 5 seconds.
Invicta champ, Strikeforce champ, UFC champ.
And when they went head-to-head, one mopped the other one.
One lost to Juliana Pena before she had to beat her.
Okay. When the two fought each other, who were arguing about the all-time great, one beat the other and it wasn't even close. In the division that one doesn't even normally fight in.
Still the champion in it for some reason, though.
Who was a plus 400 when they fought against Cyborg, too. So Cyborg was a massive favorite. It's not like she was past her prime.
Well, Matt, for Valentina Shevchenko, Craig Hart, it's also a level down from her last fight.
I kind of agree with that, Craig Hart. Like, Tyler Santos was a really difficult test, and she's very well-rounded. That's the problem with Grasso. Her wrestling defense isn't terrible, but if she does get taken down to the ground, what she offers up off of her back is very basic defensively. It's a lot of full guard holding it. It's a lot of really trying to get the ref to get her back up to her feet. She can threaten with submissions in the top position, but if she's off her back, she doesn't look great defensively.
Well, Matt, we get set. Morph-Trix Holly Holm is the GOAT. Her fight against Megan Anderson was kind of wild, let alone that fight that she had against Ronda Rousey. But Matt, Shevchenko taking on Grasso. You really get down to the nitty-gritty between these two, and you stack up their skills. And for Alexa Grasso, we touched on it, how good the boxing is. She's incorporated different elements into her fight. And for me, when I think of Alexa Grasso, a fight where I didn't necessarily think that she was going to win, and boy was I ever impressed in the fight. It was that Macy Barber fight where she was really able to put Barber on the back foot and implement her own game after withstanding a little bit of adversity in that fight. So a big win there for Grasso. It's been a part of this 4-fight win streak to get into this title contention, and now they're showing it 1 of 5 active Mexican female UFC fighters. Let's see if we can name them all, Matt. We've got her, Irene Aldana, Lupita Godinez. She kind of splits Mexico and Canada, so there's 3. Diego Lopes, center corner, Ultimate Fighter, Dana White's Contender Series, man, didn't win a contract there. Who else? We got 3. You can't name any others?
I can't. I really can't.
It's tough. Tough when you throw a graphic like that one out there. Usman not losing again to Leon Edwards, says Doughboy Paul. You think Usman's going to beat Leon Edwards the second time out?
Well, I don't want to speculate, Craig. You get pretty bad when I do anything
You can't
like
speculate an injury if you don't know anything about it.
I didn't. I said when you miss weight by that much, it's something that's very fair to speculate about when a guy's been nothing but professional throughout his career. I think it's
You can't say...
No.
Without saying, I think.
I did. It is fair to say, I think, or in my opinion, or this is something I worry about whenever somebody misses weight by a lot.
You said he was injured.
No, I didn't. I never said that at all. Check the tape, bud, as Uriah Faber would obviously say. I never. I said anytime a guy misses weight by a lot, it's always something I worry about. That's all. I think I think Alexa Grasso is going to have a chance on the outside with her movement. The problem is, I just think she is going to slow down with her movement at a certain point. I don't think her volume is going to be tremendous enough to really be able to go out there and put enough of a beating on Shevchenko to convincingly get early rounds in this fight. Because that's the thing. Shevchenko has obviously gone up against adversity, and she has good cardio by the time the 4th and 5th round comes. But with Leon Edwards, I think Leon Edwards has a surprisingly good chance, and it's for these reasons. Leon Edwards in space can damage Kamaru Usman, and he knows that Usman has defensive liabilities now, especially with his striking, how he kind of looks down when he throws a lot of his strikes. Usman can control Leon Edwards, though, until the cows come home. So that's really the question for me. It's how much time can Leon Edwards spend on the feet? And the wild thing, too, about that fight was the second time around, Leon Edwards got on top of him. He did secure a takedown of his own, and he got into full mount. It wasn't one of those Maya Shevchenko situations where, okay, it's a slip and you get on top. Like, he straight up got him in a body lock, picked him up, took him down, and got in top position. So I think Leon Edwards does have a lot of areas where he can succeed. And the thing about Usman, too, is, like, you've got to start slowing down at a certain point with the injuries. And Usman's been injured for a long time. And you start hearing stories about how the guy can't walk on concrete for longer than 5 minutes.
Can't walk up steps.
Can't go upstairs. Like, at a certain point, a welterweight in his mid-30s who has gotten a lot of injuries like that is going to start to slow down. And I wonder about how much those injuries have taken a toll on Usman. But, of course, Usman at his best is arguably the best welterweight we've ever seen. I know the UFC tried to push that a lot. Of course, to me, George St. Pierre is still the GOAT. But I think Usman at his best, of course, has a great chance. I just wonder about have all of those red flags started to build up enough to where I would pick Leon Edwards. So it is a really difficult pick. I know I haven't really given a prediction for that third one because I'll have to watch some more fights, but I think it's going to be an incredibly close fight. That's a really fun trilogy too, because it is a trilogy where you don't know who's going to win. It's not like obvious momentum is on either guy's side because the guy who won the last fight lost the majority of it. So I think Usman has a great chance to win it the third time around, but again, it's going to be a great fight either way.
Jake Gyllenhaal, Conor McGregor in attendance. Does that change anybody's fighting style? Definitely doesn't. Definitely doesn't. But one guy's a middleweight champ. One guy hasn't won a fight in years. Those are real things.
They are real things. I like Jake Gyllenhaal more than Conor McGregor. He's been in more movies.
I wonder how many speaking parts Conor has, having not been a movie guy.
He's going to be like hired Thug 3.
No, Conor McGregor. I think he's got a role.
Then the movie's probably not great.
I mean, listen, GSP opened a Captain America movie.
And that was a great movie. But you know what the great thing was about him? He said 3 words. He didn't say a GD thing.
He said more things in the Steven Seagal movie than he did...
He basically just went like, bonjour. And that was it. That was, oh wow, Batroc the Leaper. He's quite the villain. So, yeah, I don't want... Like, the more words Conor McGregor says, the worse the movie's gonna be.
Steve Rogers, you're on this tanker. I'm not impressed by your performance.
It's a great movie fight between them, though. Yeah. But that's the thing about GSP. You see him, and you know he'd win a bar fight by decision. So, like, for him beating up a guy...
If fights didn't have rounds, he beat the guy by exhaustion.
No, they'd become friends. It would just get awkward after, like, 45 minutes. That's the thing. Like, could you imagine being that mad at somebody for, like, an hour and a half? Like, Sakuraba fighting Royce Gracie? After an hour, it's just like, why are we doing this, my guy? You know, you'd probably come to a common understanding.
He's in 100 movies as a thug who gets killed.
Yeah, Keith Jardine's been around in some films.
Couldn't figure out where his hotel was, but there were two deltas. There were 2 deltas at that point. Not Keith Jardine. Keith Peterson. Yeah, Keith Jardine, and who's the other guy from the early days of Tough that dyes his hair black? Tate. I can't think of his name.
Kurt Angle's different, though, because, like, MMA fighters, there's no acting involved. Like, wrestling, you don't have to be athletic to be a wrestler. I'm not trying to discredit
Sammy Zayn's a hell of an actor from Laval, Quebec,
Well, just, like, Kurt Angle has to, like, do quite a bit of acting. Like, nobody, like, people are cutting promos like MJF in the UFC.
Yeah, he used to have to take the wig and put the wrestling head thing piece on and hold the wig in place when he was... being told best impression of me.
Oh my goodness. I'm just gonna get mad about stuff that I say for no reason.
I prefer Shia LaBeouf. Better talent than GSP. Man, he definitely doesn't drink Molson. Only water.
Who?
Tap water. GSP. For the minerals.
I know some French Canadians who get after it. So I think GSP lets loose in his spare time. Matt Serra told a story actually about how great of a guy GSP is.
I was watching TVA Sports 2 weeks ago. GSP did an interview. It was after the Elimination Chamber on Monday. GSP at 5:30 in Quebec did the interview live on location from a gym with the lockers behind him. I don't think GSP gets after it.
That's fine. I'm going to
goes to bed at 6:30.
I'm going to negate your whole point. Matt Serra told this whole entire story about how GSP went out of his way to wait in the club for Matt Serra after the two had fought until 3 a.m. because Matt Serra, he thought that there was an awkward beef between the two and GSP didn't want that to exist. So GSP waited around in the club until he could get a one-on-one time to go out of his way to say Matt Serra, like there's nothing weird between us, like we're good. So there you go. GSP stays in the club
and
till
you
3
have
a.m.
him and John Jones for some reason waiting
So there,
in line.
see? I'm going to go against what Matt says to then probably agree with him.
He could drink tap water there, though. Feed me the tap water.
Wow, Craig would rather say GSP drinks tap water at a bar at 3 a.m. than say I'm right one time.
Both things can be true.
Disgusting.
Drinking tap water at a bar is disgusting? It probably is. All right, Matt, face off. Herzog, the referee. There's going to be a lot of movement. You got to have a guy that could run miles in the cage, and that's Jason Herzog.
Certainly do.
We get the start of Grasso versus Shevchenko. Flyweight title on the line. 7 successful title defenses for Valentina Shevchenko. She's certain people's GWOAT. Is that a Jenner? Yes, that's a Jenner and not a Jenner. That was not Khloe, not Kim. Kourtney Kardashian with Travis Barker in the background.
No, that's not. No. Which one could be OJ's daughter? That's the only one that
Khloe.
Okay.
That's
Lamar, right?
That's the Lord.
Odom?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
He was good.
Pittsburgh, Mark Crowley. He's met Kurt a few times.
Favorite Shia LaBeouf film? Probably Transformers 1.
Lurking in the shadows. Actual cannibal Shia LaBeouf.
Cross out what I become.
30 seconds in, Matt, and we see the bouncy from Valentina Shevchenko. We've seen...
Valentina Shevchenko's not Sean Kemp with the Orlando Magic past her prime to where she's eating herself into another human being. I think she's more like Vince Carter with the Mavericks. Still a good player, but past prime and turning into more of a role player than a superstar focal point.
Yeah, but she's still a champion, though.
Vince Carter was never a champion. But, okay, how many examples can you think of prime where just slip away that's graceful?
Well, and for Grasso, just in this fight, minute in so far, Grasso's going in, trying not to hang out, getting back out of the pocket to land her boxing combinations. But for Shevchenko... in terms of MMA, spinning wheel kick attempt there from Shevchenko, a lot of zip on that one. We've seen champions. I think she's more like Ryan Bader at heavyweight right now. Couldn't really keep it going at light heavyweight. Still a champion. Still looking good at heavyweight. I think that's about where she's at in her career right now. If I can make the comparable in MMA.
I still think she's going to be well enough to beat someone like Alexa Grasso, though. And that's the wild thing. Again, Grasso being the number 6 contender in the division, getting a title shot. I know there wasn't a lot of contenders who hadn't already fought Shevchenko, so it is a fresh matchup, and for that reason, it should be a fun one. But Grasso, it felt like she still kind of needed one more to really prove that she deserved a title shot.
About 2 minutes into this fight.
Whips on the left. Jody Escobel-esque.
Nice double jab there from Shevchenko to the southpaw stance. Nice one again. 1-2 attempt there. Might have been a little bit of a tick on the left hand from Grasso.
Good left hand by Grasso, but good job by Shevchenko answering.
Yeah, Shevchenko's doing a really good job of slipping these punches and landing her own shots so far. About halfway through round number 1.
Grasso switched stances quite a few times.
With gold befitting a champion in the red corner, Shevchenko looking to make it 8 straight title defenses. Question mark kick attempt from Shevchenko. I'd say more like Joey Fatone, MPTV. Good attempt there. And again, Grasso's doing a good job getting into the pocket, getting right back out. But she hasn't really been able to land much, and her shots from distance have kind of hit the air so far.
I will say, though, when she is getting on the inside, her hands do seem to be a little bit faster. So if she can do what Volkanovski did against Max Holloway and make it a hand speed fight more than an MMA fight, I think she could continue to have success. Because she's landed clean mid shots down the middle.
Yeah, nice right hook landed
Good
for
straight left,
Grasso.
too, that might even wobble Shevchenko.
Really close round so far between these two.
I think Grasso's got it. She's landed really clean shots.
Minute and a half remains. Leg kick attempts here from the champ. Good flurry there from Shevchenko, who's really kind of standing in there to land these shots. Minute and a half left. Grasso pressuring forward. Grasso working from orthodox now. Poking that thumb up, giving it the A-OK before she throws the right hand.
Just in case she gets into like a Ben Askren, Robbie Lawler, you got to make sure they know.
Shevchenko looking to pressure. Minute remains. Round number 1 of a scheduled 5. Between the Japanese-trained Valentina Shevchenko and Mexico's Grasso. Nice body kick there from the champ.
Grasso having great success, though, with the hands at range.
I don't think she landed in that combination, though.
Okay. I still think she's had good success at range, though. Like, she hurt Shevchenko. Shevchenko can't say the same about her.
30 seconds remain. Round number 1. Challenger definitely having a good first round.
Good left hand by Shevchenko there.
Nice body kick, too. New spinning back fist there from Shevchenko. Looked like it landed. Takedown attempt. Grasso, she gets it?
That's
maybe.
telegraph, too.
But a good one there from Grasso. Switching things up. Good end of the round for Grasso.
It is. I think she did enough to seal the round.
Yeah, I'm going to say Grasso round number 1. Nice kicks there. Shevchenko going for the head and arm throw. Rounds over. Jason Herzog breaks them up. Round 1, Grasso. The challenger.
I would say.
MPTV's got a Grasso. We get a highlight of a body kick from Shevchenko. She was definitely good with those. Nice left hand lands from Grasso. And a right.
She had good success with that left straight moving in. She had her good with a couple of those.
Showing it a couple of times here.
That's the second one. Like, she got her a few times with it.
Most people having it for Grasso round 1. Antonina giving instruction. She's dyed her hair.
She has.
Getting a little bit of Vaseline on that nose. Pavel giving instructions.
She walked into the living room. Pavel, do you like it? Pavel with a smirk and a thumbs up. Very much.
I think he's a real quiet man.
I do. I think he's stoic. I don't think he shows his emotions very often. I think Pavel and I probably have nothing in common at the end of the day.
Pavel, what kind of music do you listen to? The silence.
Oh. Classic Russia. Oh, okay.
It's from Kyrgyzstan.
You sit in a dark room, I guess, Pavel.
All right, Matt. Set for round number 2. The challenger's got round number 1. We have 5.
Impressive to see Grasso fight so well, though, in that first round, as I was completely just saying about how she wasn't ready for this fight at all.
Oof. She is fighting like a woman possessed.
I like her stepping in, though, with being aggressive with that left hand. She's doing a good job when she's able to jab in first, but
Shevchenko ducks under and gets the takedown. And we saw that. End of the first round. You saw that head and arm throw there from Shevchenko. She had the position.
Much more of a traditional takedown, though, in a sense. She just kind of went for the spear a la Chael Sonnen. More of a double leg there.
And we know Alexa Grasso, noted jiu-jitsu expert.
But off her back, that's something I brought up a lot. She's not all that active off her back. She's going to throw like a little bit of ground and pound, look for the full guard, and try to be defensive from there. She's throwing some butterfly hooks up right now, which is nice to see. Hopefully trying to get back up to her feet. But she's going to get a full guard and lock it down.
Guard.
It's almost like I know what I'm talking about sometimes.
So you've got, in this sequence, you got Grasso now. She's locked her legs. She's pulled a lockdown with the arms of Shevchenko. Now she's going to try and get back up to her feet.
But the problem was she already had a good spot on Shevchenko and had her hips underneath.
There.
And then she goes to her defensive position, her shutdown, which is this, the thing I've talked about for weeks straight, and then just goes for this. You don't win rounds by defending grappling off your back. No judge has ever sat there and said, well, her defensive grappling and the full guard was great. I'm going to go ahead and 10-9 that one.
It's not like boxing defense. Ooh, Shevchenko now in a side control. Grasso trying to Angus Young her way out of this one.
Grasso. Really spinning.
Shevchenko in a position like Montserrat Canejo would be. That's another Mexican woman in the UFC.
Wow. One who's not.
Now we got 4. We got to figure out who the last one is. Man, a crucifix attempt here from Shevchenko, and she's got
One
it.
of her best positions. Grasso doing a good job, though, being active. Could try to buck off, though, at some point, not just do 360s and waste all your energy like a damn fool.
Hey, if a guy in his 70s can do it with little tiny shorts on a stage, Grasso can do it right now.
People at Woodstock who took too much of certain tabs move around like that. Like Alexa Grasso feeling funny in the cage.
You know when you hear that, it's time to go.
That's how Shevchenko unwinds.
I imagine you go to one of those concerts and people are throwing full bottles of beer.
No. I don't think people are getting that violent. That's a Nickelback concert, if anything. Chad Kruger's taken out. Not Kruger. Oh my goodness.
All right, Matt. Grasso getting back up to her feet.
Good job by Grasso. I thought she was going to have to waste the rest of a round after she got taken down the majority of the time, but she's doing a good job trying to get some of that back. Good left hand there by Grasso. And she's doing what Jeff Neal did too. When they get on the inside, throw with as much power as you can to make it count.
Grasso looking to pressure forward. She knows she's got to get back a lot in these last 2 minutes to get the round back. Nice jab from the champ. Bouncy. Little bounce. Bouncy. Whiffing on air is Grasso. Grasso switching stances. She's in southpaw now. She's had a lot of success there.
She is. Not being as aggressive, though. Just kind of standing around on the inside against Shevchenko.
Threat of the takedown in the mind.
Exactly. It sticks with you.
Shevchenko landing the jab on the outside. Grasso looking for those big heavy hitters. Hitting air. And that's free.
Craig will be here all week, folks.
Minute 15 left in the round. Stalemate. Oh, the camera goes a little woo.
Canted tilt. You love that.
Spinning wheel kick attempt. Grasso has hit the air many times lately. Minute left in the round.
Jake Gyllenhaal runs in. What is this about?
Mark Crowley. Valentino looks unusually fatigued at this juncture. I don't know about that. Nice body kick.
Keep an eye on though, Jack.
Big shots from both these two fighters. Each having success. Valentina ducks under. Can she get the takedown?
And she really is looking for the takedown a lot when they do start initiating some of those close range exchanges.
And you had to think most of her success would come in these takedowns.
Well, yeah, because on the feet it's pretty much 1-to-1, but on the ground I do think Shevchenko has a decided advantage.
Lots of shoulder pressure here from Shevchenko. Little shots from each. Lockdown position. Body punches from Grasso.
Well, that'll win the round.
MPTV, Grasso beat the F at all them ghosts. I don't know if there's a lot of ghosts at T-Mobile Arena just yet.
Haley Joel Osment's in like the first round being like, oh my goodness.
Well, there we go. I got it 19-19 after 2 rounds. 19-19.
Nobody won that second round, but I do have it 19-19. Good job by Shevchenko of initiating the grappling, getting that into her game.
Diego Lopes. Brazilian by birth, Mexican by choice.
Okay. Do you have anything else to go along with that?
He lost a technical decision on Dana White's Contender Series. Technical decision. You know who it was to?
No.
A guy whose name rhymes with what I just said. Wasn't it Joe Anderson Brito?
Could have been. 1 in the morning during a pay-per-view.
MPTV 1919 through 2. 1919 through 2.
Think about what, like, the food, I would say, from Mexico is better, but Brazilian barbecue is really good.
Diego Lopes, 21-5. Lost a technical decision to Joe Anderson Brito. All right, we get set for round number 3. There's going to be 5, and I bet there will be. Herzog. And we get the start. Then he lost to Nate Richardson with Fury. His last time out, he beat 10-10 Angel Rodriguez.
Shevchenko, a -1,000 still.
Shevchenko, big favorite. Grasso, big underdog. Not Bo Nickal levels, though.
No.
Grasso is done. She can't defend those body lock takedowns. Grasso has no answer on the ground from Blues fans.
None so far.
And that, my friends, is getting into it. Ooh.
Good job by Shevchenko
And
there.
Shevchenko, yeah, now switching up that jab on the right hand, switching it to a hook, and it landed. Phil Murphy, takedowns at will. It's not James Toney against Randy Couture levels.
A guy who didn't compete in MMA until he did? No, I would hope not.
Remember that time that Floyd Mayweather boxed Aaron Chalmers?
I do. You mean last weekend?
Oh!
Both landed big shots. Shevchenko landed good ones too.
Now we got a fight going on. Minute into round number 3, and both these women are really going at it. Now they're going to show you the numbers and the fact that Grasso's been able to attack the body, and she's been able to do that with kicks and with punches, working from a southpaw stance, leading the dance from distance.
Big left hand, another good one by Grasso.
Shevchenko's in this one too.
That head kick. If that head kick landed, that would have done real damage.
Shevchenko looking for the takedown. Grasso gets out of the way. Center of the octagon here. Grasso looking to pressure forward. Squared up stance from the orthodox stance.
I was going to say back to righty.
And it's a left hand that lands for Shevchenko. And a jab. And a bounce. A lot of bounces.
A lot of bounce.
You think she buys the Kirkland
like
fabric
Zion
softener?
I was going to say like Zion in college, but...
Oh, deep takedown, and Grasso's got nothing.
That was a good job by Shevchenko getting underneath those strikes. What's Grasso going to do?
She's going to...
Oh my goodness.
Get her guard. Going to get her full guard.
And you guys can come to Fight Night picks for fighters' tendencies.
And
not going to get them all right, but I'll tell you at least what they like to do a lot.
And palm strikes from Valentina Shevchenko like it's old school pancration.
Sport Alexander the Great competed in way back in the day, fun fact.
How many languages did that guy speak?
Quite a few. He got around. Interesting character, that guy. Didn't know this.
And now he's a featherweight champ.
He is. Very good fighter.
But he couldn't get
almost
the lightweight
became
title.
The light. By that much, though. Many people believe he should have left with that belt. Not me. But I've had enough people be like, hey, I think Volkanovski won, that I'm not going to like completely disagree with you. If that many people I know think Volkanovski won, then I can't just be like, oh, I'm right and everybody else is wrong.
Less than 2 minutes remain. Fortune, fame, Mira Vane, gone insane. Shevchenko with the takedowns. You think people like memory remains as much as I do?
You're really trying to wedge... I don't know how that fit into it.
Minute and a half left. Grasso, maybe she'll go for an armbar.
She won't, Craig. I'm going to tell you right now. I don't.
Or Blues fan says Grasso won't get up.
I'm with you, Blues fan.
Well, she will when the horn goes tweet. Pretty much just waiting for Jones at this point.
Hey, Matt the Mick.
Oh! What the heck? Jason Herzog says, get up. Valentina goes, punch.
Listen, you get up, you get up.
And the round continues, and Shevchenko apologizes.
We're all friends here.
In the corner of violence, Shevchenko clicked the check on that box. Shevchenko with a jab, and she pippity pops out of there. Kind of a snoozer, boys.
You're darn right, Debbie.
Takedown attempt from Shevchenko from long distance. Ooh, a little bit of a roll.
Grasso. Probably
there
trying
from
to get
Grasso, and
defensively.
Hit the bike pedals a little bit. Oh, Shevchenko on the back.
Please get the choke. Please get the choke. Please get the choke.
25 seconds remain. Grasso's going to punch her way out of a submission attempt.
You hope not, though, just so John Jones can fight Cyril Gane a little bit faster.
That's rude.
Sorry, I'm more excited for arguably the greatest fighter ever to fight in a division he's never been in.
10 seconds left. Grasso going guillotine. Grasso guillotine.
Can Parker Porter cash in a Money in the Bank style briefcase to then come into the main event after
and the round's
completed?
Over. All right. It is 2 rounds to 1 for Valentina Shevchenko.
Alexa Grasso looking tired. It's not great the fact that she really hasn't been able to defend many takedowns after a deep entry. I know initially in the clinch, when Valentina would go for one, Alexa was doing a good job getting her butt out and doing a good job just kind of defending the shoulders and the hands for what they were. But every time Shevchenko goes for a deep entry, more of a double-leg style, she's been able to complete it.
What do you think Pavel's saying in the corner right now to Shevchenko?
He's probably looking at like NBA parlays right now, like making sure they all hit. He's swearing about, cursing about the Knicks probably.
I bet he's a basketball guy.
Those bastards. He's so happy about Julius Randle right now.
No, he's probably a weird team fan. He's probably like a Sacramento Kings fan, is Pavel.
He's lighting the beam. He's so happy right now. Domantas Sabonis. He's got every jersey of him. OKC, Indiana, Sacramento, we got you.
All right, we get set for round number 3.
Arvidas, one of the greats.
Herzog, Grasso, Shevchenko, fights. Jake Gyllenhaal's in attendance, middleweight champion.
I want what he's on supplement-wise.
10 seconds into round number 4, Grasso's coming out firing. Like she's down in a title fight. Wonder if Jones has butterflies right now. It's been so long.
Probably not. I think John Jones has done crazier things than fight in a cage. That's just my honest answer. Someone else brought that up. That's why my answer was so ready for someone to say that. Like,
oh. Valentina Shevchenko. She's going to have raspberries on those knees.
She will. You have to think, though, about, like, just, yeah. Like, is John Jones afraid to do something he's never lost at, legitimately? Probably not. Because he's been in some crazy, like, life situations that I think are a lot more dangerous than some things in the cage when you're as talented as he is in the cage. And that's not to get too into, like, the personal stuff. It's just the truth.
I can tell my dog to bite people. I don't know if that's the one, John. Minute into round number 4. Title fight at 125. 1-2 from Grasso. Less apt to hit the air this far in. Less apt.
Jody Escobel's doing that, like, Leonardo DiCaprio meme looking at the TV right now. Like, that should be me missing every punch.
That's rude.
Do you want to have fun? You're going to be rude every now and then.
Minute and a half into round number 4.
I'm not Brennan Allen's friend. If I'm not Jody Escobel's, it doesn't hurt my friend, or it doesn't hurt my feelings either, so.
Jab from Shevchenko. Grasso looking to cut the distance, working southpaw. And now she's orthodox.
I thought Grasso was going to be able to build on some of that southpaw striking that we saw in the first round, but I'm surprised to see her go to the orthodox so much, I guess, because she was having a lot of success with that straight left hand on the inside.
Well, and orthodox not being her primary striking pattern, we haven't seen a lot of offense from orthodox when she does switch.
So why are we doing it? It's like Kevin Lee. Kevin Lee used to go to southpaw for no reason at all. Just so he'd get lit up, and then he'd go back to orthodox and be good on the feet again, and then go to southpaw and get borderline knocked out.
A year ago, he beat Diego Sanchez, and they signed him off that win.
Isn't it wild how he had to out-wrestle Diego Sanchez because he was kind of getting outstruck a little bit? And that's the hard part to swallow about that fight.
Timur Valiev, 2-1-1 in the UFC with a no contest. You're fighting on the Ultimate Fighter, bud. Grasso would win this fight a year from now. Maybe. She's not winning it right now. Halfway through the 4th round. Not a lot of shots landed. Nice jab from the champ.
Drake is not watching the TV right now. He's pulling the ultimate big baller move. I don't even watch the pay-per-view.
You think Drake ever did meet Tom Green?
No.
No? Take down attempt from Alexa Grasso!
You want to talk about two people whose fame just completely did not coincide? Tom Green fell off the face of the earth in about 2008.
Who's been on the Joe Rogan podcast
I don't
more
care.
often?
Yeah. Who's more famous, Tom Green or Drake? Drake became really famous in 2008. Are you trying to argue with me that Tom Green is as famous as Drake?
No, I'm saying he still has popularity.
To the level of Drake?
No.
Drake's
Takedown attempt from
the
Grasso.
world.
Doesn't
Green.
Now, when we get into a fight like this, if Grasso's able to win the 4th, and it's been a very close fight, she wins the 1st, she wins the 4th, Shevchenko 2 and 3, it makes 5 very interesting. Nice left hand there from the champ.
That's how math works. Yeah, one fighter has 2 rounds and the other one does. The 5th's going to be wild.
Ooh, big left hand landed for Shevchenko.
Is Shevchenko showing damage on the nose?
She was in the 1st round, yeah. Oh. Oh, my.
I'm going to Mike Goldberg this call if this really happens. I don't think she's got it, but
This is
Has
just
the
like
back of
Pena
Valentina
versus
Shevchenko.
Nunes.
It's not, though, because Nunes got tired and kind of gave up a sloppy takedown. This is opportunistic.
Oh my
Go fight the top
gosh.
hand, Valentina.
Oh my gosh. Oh my
Fight the top hand,
gosh.
Valentina. Her head's
That face
red.
is getting red.
Oh my goodness.
She's gonna tap.
She'll be coming.
Oh.
It is all over. And just like that. Alexa Grasso with the rear naked choke in the 4th round. What a comeback. That was really impressive. For as good as she looked in the first round.
She just jumped on the back.
And that was the thing. And it felt like momentum was completely in the side of Shevchenko, too, because Grasso looked great early on. But Shevchenko with the grappling was looking so dominant.
Alexa Grasso is now 16-3 in her career. She's won 2 fights by submission in her last 3 fights.
That's a pretty good time to do it, isn't it? That was an incredible finish, and especially after she had been out-grappled for so long in this fight, for her to be able to have the success by jumping to the back of Valentina. That's the one thing about MMA. In hockey and basketball, you can only score so many points every time you shoot. In MMA, there is the ultimate Hail Mary. You can throw a 99-point touchdown. That's what Alexa Grasso just did. That was really incredible.
Alexa Grasso is your UFC flyweight champ, and the titles that have changed hands recently.
Lately, isn't that wild?
Pena beating Nunes, Grasso beating
Edwards,
Shevchenko,
Pereira.
Edwards, Pereira,
Moreno, Figueiredo. I know they've had quite a few, but just the one mistake. That was just like Chris Weidman missing the wheel kick on Luke Rockhold and getting taken down.
That's one of the
exactly
craziest.
like it. That's wild. Wild. And again, all the momentum was on the side of Valentina. Like, Grasso looked good early, but I kind of thought that we had seen the limits of her having success because the takedown was such a threat by Shevchenko that we hadn't really seen Grasso open up with her hands as much. But yeah, the one missed wheel kick, Grasso was able to close that distance and get the back. It is
like
exactly...
Paul Craig against Alonzo Menafield, only he got knocked out.
To a T, it is Chris Weidman, Luke Rockhold. Like, throws the wheel kick, gets taken down off the lazy wheel kick. Shevchenko's wasn't that lazy. She just threw it when they were too close to each other, so she didn't get the full range off it. But what an upset. And Shevchenko did a great job, too, staying in that fight, trying to defend, but she wasn't going for the top hand. She was trying to push up on the elbow.
Mexico, you have 2 UFC champions, Brandon Moreno and Alexa Grasso.
Wait, are we forgetting about Yair Rodriguez?
Yeah, I guess he's an interim champ. It counts.
I still count him.
Yeah, but it was weird too in the lead up to this, right after the weigh-ins. Like Megan O'Leary was interviewing Gane. It was like, what would it be to be the first French UFC champion? I thought he won the interim belt, but I guess it doesn't count.
I'll count it.
10% at Fight Night Pickside Grasso to win.
That's a
neither
truly
one of us
surprising
did.
One. Brandor shout out, good job. I never thought in a million years.
Alexa Grasso is your champion. What a night.
The Dallas Mavericks. That's what I'm saying. Truly, yeah, what a wild finish. And it happened so late in the fight, too, to stop one of the all-time greats. Of course, there'll be a rematch next. I mean, Valentina has more than deserved to get an immediate rematch as champion, but what a way to go out.
7 was her lucky number.
Was.
Alexa Grasso, UFC champion. 3rd undisputed UFC flyweight champ. Nico Montano, Valentina Shevchenko, Alexa Grasso. A pantheon of greatness, some would say.
It truly is. One of these things is not like the other things. One of these things is Nico Montano after the finale of The Ultimate Fighter. What a wild finish. You ever thought Shevchenko would miss a wheel kick and then get choked out by Alexa Grasso? Because I certainly didn't. I'll take an L on that one. Never thought that would happen.
Cyril Gane wins now. That's how this works.
If he head kicks John Jones, I might just faint.
Wow. Well, now there's more fun fights on the horizon at flyweight.
Certainly.
Now you almost have to do Fyodo and Blanchfield if you're going to rematch.
You
these
do,
two.
exactly. Yeah, that's kind of the guaranteed #1 contender because you'll do this rematch in the meantime. If Shevchenko wins, I don't think you'll do a trilogy. I just don't, but maybe. UFC loves doing weird trilogies for no reason. Like, Brandon Moreno, that's the thing. People think, like, oh, they just did the trilogy between Moreno and Figueiredo. No, Moreno had to win an interim title to get the third fight against Figueiredo. You know, like, you had to do something for it. You had to earn it. Blanchfield Grasso, that'd be a good fight. But you can't forget about Fiorot, and she's been really good as of late. Had big opportunities, too. Bit of a promotional push. Nothing on a crazy level, but...
Wow.
That was wild.
Adrian Yanez, as it's really pronounced. Let's effing go. He's got a big fight against Rob Font coming up.
Certainly does.
Alexa Grasso is the champion. Kamaru Usman, what a fight. Both ladies. I'm sure Shevchenko will get an interview from Joe Rogan.
No, Craig Hart, I said I do think Shevchenko is going to get a rematch. I just think if Shevchenko wins the second fight, I don't think Grasso will then get a rematch in the third
no,
fight.
and the super chat from Blues fan answering the question, Blanchfield versus Grasso. Definitely a fun fight. Shevchenko gets the interview. Pavel looking stoic.
The only way he knows how. Got money on the ponies, though. He's got to go back, check his phone.
We go back, we eat ice cream, we regroup in the morning.
How many bet slips have been angrily crumpled up and thrown into the trash by Pavel in the last 24 hours? I don't mean lifetime.
No.
Oh, not again.
Matt, it's time. John Jones, Cityl Gane.
Brother of Chandler.
Main event, and Arthur. Couple NFL ledge is John Jones taking on Cityl Gane. And we know for John Jones, he was a 2-time undisputed light heavyweight champ. He won the interim belt against OSP, UFC 197. 11 successful title defenses. The fight of the nights, the UFC Hall of Fame nod for his first fight against Gustafsson, UFC 165 in Toronto, Ontario, Canada, at the then Air Canada Centre, now the Scotiabank Arena, I think it is. John Jones is that guy. So when you look at this, Matt, he hasn't fought in about 3 years. He had the layoff, and then he wins the belt, and it's Gustafsson, it's Smith, it's Santos, it's Reyes. It was all really quick. It went by so fast. Then you remember the fight that got moved on, a few days' notice from Vegas to California. And now we're to this point where Jones, Debbie Elder, is this going to be the same Jones? I have no idea. Travis Barker has his hand in a cast, spikes on his chest, and Jerome Bettis and Ron Perlman. Ron Perlman had some red stuff on his head. What was that?
Ron Perlman's on one.
What did Ron Perlman have in his head? And the Diaz brothers. And Stipe, who was happy about the Diaz brothers. Mouth open for the Diaz brothers. And Keith Jardine, maybe, but not really.
So how do you think that John Jones is going to look at heavyweight?
I think he'll look pretty good after 3 years away, to get back to that. I think he will, but it's hard to say. It really is.
It definitely is. I thought he looked okay on the scales. I've never bulked up 50 pounds, though. If I did, it'd be a lot, so it'd probably take me quite a while. But I just think for Jones...
If you did, you'd be one of those guys that's still all arms and legs with just a pot belly in the middle. Like the ultimate skinny fat. See those guys at a high school.
Craig, if we did a rough and rowdy 2 rounds, all I need, it's over. I think John Jones is going to look good at heavyweight, though. Again, I just think the wrestling advantage is such a big X factor. We saw Cityl Gane get taken down over and over and over again by Francis. And I love Francis Ngannou just like all you guys do. But he is not a wrestler by trade by any means. So I just think with that being such a lasting image in my brain, I think John Jones is going to get the takedown and get quite a bit of ground and pound off.
John Jones, a big-time opportunity in this one. Regain that status.
He didn't look that good, though, in his last 3 fights. Like, that, we can be honest about that. Like, Anthony Smith fight, he looked good, but I think...
He looked good in the Smith fight.
But I think prime John Jones finishes Anthony Smith. Like, I think a lot of Anthony Smith, but John Jones is the greatest fighter of all time, and Anthony Smith used to be a middleweight. So I think it's fair to say he didn't look as good as he used to against Anthony Smith. And then definitely not in the Santos and the Dominic Reyes fight. So if those 3 fights have clouded your judgment, not even clouded your judgment, just if those 3 fights are a big enough sample size for you to change your opinion on John Jones and kind of just be off the train, I wouldn't blame you at all. And I do think Cityl Gane is the type of opponent who's really going to test John Jones in the way that we kind of need to see him be tested at heavyweight.
Fernand Lopez just letting him shadow box, and you got the coach.
Wasn't Fernand Lopez fearing for his life?
Well, at one point, but the coach that looks like Chris Pontius, that coached earlier on tonight in Ian Gary's corner.
What's he listening to?
What is he's listening to Boomba.
I think he's got like Less I Know the Better on like 1,000.
No, he's listening to French rap. Now we get a trailer for Adam Driver's movie, The 65.
Anthony Edwards is in this movie. No, he might not be in the movie, but he's like in a trailer for it, I know. So shout out Ant-Man.
I'm Adam Driver. You're going to want to watch this movie. I was in the TV show Girls with Lena Dunham. Ugh.
I like when you hate people when you haven't seen the things that they're in.
I've seen...
You've seen Girls every episode, have you?
I've seen clips of the show Girls.
No, you have. Where are you watching clips of Girls from? Shut... No,
you don't think they're on Reels?
Yeah, no.
You
just get caught in a lie, Craig. I'm sorry. I'm watching these clips of Girls and I hate Adam Driver. Get out of here. No, you haven't. You've never seen clips of Girls. Because guess what? You're not the first person in humanity to ever just watch clips of Girls. I'm irrationally upset right now because you hate a man for a thing you've never watched him in.
It was a premiere television show and it was on the air.
Yeah, and you watched every episode.
TV.
Oh yeah, I watched Girls. I'm just mad he was in a show called Girls, even though I have no idea anything about it or Adam Driver.
I've watched as much Girls as I've watched Succession.
Succession's a good show, though.
I haven't watched either of them.
Wow. I'm guessing you just hate everybody.
I like that. Just sorry, but heavyweight rankings
vacant.
Number 1, C, vacant.
No, I hate Adam Driver. Where do you know him from? Great guy, never met him.
How many times do you think that they've said Francis Ngannou tonight? I'm going to say goose egg.
No, someone let it slip. For sure.
Well, that was the best part. If you watch the first fight of the night, the Rajabov...
I've seen clips of Girls. What a ridiculous statement.
The Rajabov fight against Ribovics. First thing they say, he's fought for a premier title twice with another organization. And then they were like, it's the PFL. They let it slip a little bit.
I'm with Matt 100%. Thank you, MPTV. That's
Antonio
outrageous.
has gone to get the win. We get a little bit of a look at Albuquerque, which is apparently... What's that video game with the what's that game? The video game where it's like a post-apocalyptic look.
Fallout?
That's it. Fallout.
Bio?
Bio still came to
I've
mind.
seen clips of it. No idea what it is, though.
1:30 in the morning. Fallout. Apparently Albuquerque looks like Fallout. A lot of cars just in streets and on street corners with no
You
tires.
don't work for the tourism department, do you? Our cities look like Fallout. Why is nobody here? And then just a single tear comes down. It's like, Albuquerque, New Mexico. What do you think
the sign says when people go into Albuquerque? Do you think it's like home of John Jones or home of Tim Means, the Dirty Bird?
I mean, if anybody in the chat watches Fallout, it's probably going to say, like, beware Death Claws, but I don't know. Fit NHB to the left, and it's a path that is brand new and nobody's taken it. Just Tim Means' car.
Matt Semmelsberger traveled from Maryland to go there. Traveled. John Jones. Not throwing much for combinations in this.
I've never put any stock into pad work in a promo video. Some weird takes tonight, Craig, to be honest.
It's so late. And
I know, but I don't ever
mentally I've moved towards Jan Dwalishvili a bit. Cyril Gane, nicknamed Bon Gamin, first pro MMA fight for a heavyweight title with TKO.
Watched a Brian Sutter video. He's a doctor on YouTube who breaks down sports injuries because he did a video about the knob on the back of Cyril Gane's hand. He said it's very normal for somebody who had a surgery in that spot recently.
Yeah.
And of course, Cyril Gane broke his hand in the Tai Tuivasa fight. So you go from the outside in. So it's your first capillary, your second one, your third one. He broke the third one, which is the one your middle finger. So the big weird dot on the back of his hand with the scar over it is exactly what it's supposed to be. It just coincides with an injury that he previously got that is completely checked out. So I am curious, though, with an injury like that, you wonder how long he has to take off before he can really get back training 100%. And before he gets full confidence into that, too. That was something Pascal Siakam last year missed like the first 10 games of the season because he had shoulder surgery. And when he came back, he did a two-handed dunk. And right after the game, Gane. They were like, how good did it feel getting back out there? And he said, I gotta be honest, up until I dunked the ball with my left hand, I didn't even have 100% confidence. Like, even when you're going through the drills and in practice, you can feel good about it, but until you really do it in a game and at game speed, you don't always have 100% confidence behind it. So for Gane, I still have some of those question marks in him, but I do feel like he's had enough recovery time.
And you look at it for both these guys. For Jon Jones, obviously, Chael Sonnen put his video out there, and he questioned all the pool workouts. For me, you're trying to make a pick, you're trying to make a preview. It's hard to put too much into that, but it obviously does bring up the question marks, especially in this fight. So Gane making the walk in the blue corner. Former interim champ. He wasn't able to unify the belts against Francis Ngannou, UFC 2.
Against who? Who is this fighter you speak of?
Well, he used to fight in the UFC.
I feel like the UFC is trying to put like some black censor bar over your mouth every time you say his name.
Lost the fight against Stipe at UFC 220.
What happened in the rematch, though? Oh,
and then in his next fight, he lost against Derek Lewis, but after that, he won every fight, and he looked amazing. And I remember him knocking out Cain Velasquez, and there were question marks when he did it.
Oh,
is
wild.
he really out?
Hit him with that.
It was a huge knockout loss, and then Cain went into wrestling after that. And for Francis Ngannou, he just wasn't able to get over that hump. So back to the MMA factory, a Venom gym, training with Nasruddin Imavov. I'm sure he trained with Salim Touari, but the UFC wasn't going to mention that in any of their videos. So for Gane, definitely going to be interesting to see what kind of a game plan he comes in with, because he can mold and adapt to pretty well all of these fights. He just couldn't defend those takedowns as they went on. And Eric Nixick, the wrestling whisperer,
that's a big if, though.
Yeah, Matt, I understand that, but it's crazy because before that we didn't see him struggle with the takedowns, and obviously in the
I know, but who was the best wrestler he'd ever fought before then?
Matt, for goodness sakes.
What? It's a valid question to bring up.
We hadn't seen it. We saw it in that fight. Oh, he's got a flag. That's not allowed.
My point is, the one time we've seen it, it didn't work. If every time you saw, like, I don't know, a boat, and you knew there was a good chance it was going to sink, no one would be on boat. So I do question Ciryl Gane's grappling defense, especially at the highest level, against guys who were in the top 5, because a lot of the guys we fought up until the title shot were primary strikers, the likes of Rosenstrike, the likes of Volkov. I know he had success grappling against some guys in the UFC, but they were well below Ciryl Gane's level. So that's why I do think he is going to struggle, especially grappling against high-level guys. Now, to his credit, there's not a ton of great wrestlers in the division right now outside of Curtis Blaydes. Of course, Curtis Blaydes is a pretty big hurdle to get over because he is so dominant with that one area of his game, and we'll see how good Jon Jones is, of course, with his wrestling. But that's my problem with Ciryl Gane. The one time we did see him have to defend against a very high volume of takedowns, he didn't do a great job in that fight. And it's not like he was fighting Curtis Blaydes. Like, if you get taken down by Curtis Blaydes for 25 minutes, that's okay. I don't really care, because we know how good of a takedown artist and how good of a wrestler Curtis Blaydes is. But to see it happen against somebody who is not a wrestler whatsoever is putting a lot of red flags in a lot of people's minds. It's more than justified.
It's hard to put so much stock into that one performance. Now,
he's fighting a guy, though, who goes
when
for a lot of takedowns.
When you're taking on a wrestler like Jon Jones, who struggled with takedowns in his last number of fights against Thiago Santos, against Dominic Reyes, you wonder if Jones can have that success up weight class at heavyweight against Gane in this matchup.
You do, but again, Ciryl Gane on the feet, I think, can hold his own against a guy like Jon Jones. Because for as good of a striker as Jones is, he really has to rely on the combinations, and it's not a lot of one-shot strikes. Jon Jones, for as good of his highlight reel is, there are not a lot of one-shot knockouts in the first round. Like, he's not that guy. He's someone who will have to throw in combination, find his openings as he goes. But the thing about Jones is, his striking, just IQ, and his MMA IQ is pretty much as good as anybody's has ever been. Like, a lot of people bring up, because it's a great example, when he head kicks Daniel Cormier and hurts him, he doesn't do what most guys would and just rush him and go for the head. He throws a leg kick to stumble him, and then lets him go to the ground after that. The leg kick is the thing that nobody would really see, but Jon Jones is smart enough to realize that, okay, that's how I'm going to off-balance him and get on top and end him with ground and pound. So, Jones does have that next-level fight IQ that really doesn't come around from anything else other than fighting some of the best fighters of your generation for over a decade.
Dan, best fight picks between you and me. Valentina's on a 2-fight skid. And from Andreas Hale, you know him from boxing. Personally, I think Gane should test Jon Jones immediately with strikes. Don't give Jon the time to figure him out. Test the chin movement and the defense.
I would agree with that.
Otherwise, he'll be in trouble late. So Jon Jones making the walk. Had some fights with Daniel Cormier. You would mention him. And they had the panel show this week where they didn't put Rashad Evans' name in the title of the YouTube video. Anthony Smith, Dominic Reyes, and then, of course, Daniel Cormier. And Cormier was talking about the fight and said, you know, we all lost to Jon pretty convincingly. And you saw Dominic Reyes at the end of the table kind of giving him a weird look. Because he definitely had a good shot, even though it was a unanimous decision win. for Jones. He definitely had a conversation.
Daniel Cormier said one of the most disrespectful things of all time, and I don't think he meant to do it at the time. He was on a panel once with Anthony Smith, and I'll never forget this. Anthony Smith was like, I did a pretty good job against John Jones, right? And Daniel Cormier, I don't think he realized what he was saying, but he said, John Jones gets up to fight guys like me, though. Like, John Jones, when he's fighting Daniel Cormier, he's in the gym every day. I'm going to kill that guy. That's all I can think about. Some of these other contenders he's been around lately, he doesn't really have that same drive. And I don't think he realized how much of a dig that is on Anthony Smith about, like, hey, when he fights me, this guy's being his best no matter what. You, though. Doesn't really matter. That's tough. What round is this? Fight?
Guys like Ryan Spann, I mean, sometimes they train for fights.
Disappointing Ryan Spann didn't get that fight. And I'll say this. I know we kind of laugh a little bit at the old Ryan Spann, hey, I'm taking it serious
Fights
now.
next week.
But I'll say this about Ryan Spann. I put zero stock into interviews. I just don't care that much. I found it very telling to see him break down the way he did about how much the camp and how much his coaches all of a sudden mean to him. Like, I do think Ryan Spann has had a bit of a change in his mentality. Now, I don't know how much of a difference that's going to make in Ryan Spann in general, but I don't think I just kind of laugh at, oh, I take it serious now. Like, I really do think Ryan Spann in the last few fights has been able to kind of flip that switch. I know that's such a cliche, but you get the idea. He really has been able to kind of correct his mentality, and I do think it will make a difference in that Krylov fight. I really do.
John Jones going over, hugging his brothers.
Does Chandler still play?
He played for the Raiders last year.
I know he was, like, super good in his prime. They used to talk about that a lot.
The Pats.
I remember him for the Pats. It's the only
the
team
Cardinals.
I really remember.
That's where he had most success.
Cardinals, yeah.
And now he's with the Raiders.
But he does still play, okay.
John Jones, looking much bigger than he used to.
Thick.
Around the middle.
Oh, for sure. Like James Harden trying to force a trade.
All right, Matt, main event. Jones versus Gane, heavyweight title. It's on the line. Francis Ngannou probably not in the building, watching from a dark room in his house. John Jones, oh my God, I don't need to see that. He slapped about every square inch of his body.
Daniel Cormier is famous for that. I love DC's walkout. Da, da, da.
W, his brother is a great football player. Arthur, he was a lineman for the Colts. Arthur. One of John Jones' coaches, giving him a talking to. He's wearing gloves. Looks like Lyoto Machida's other brother, but not Shinzo. John Jones, another corner that I don't know, giving him a talking to.
Brandon Gibson.
And Brandon Gibson, the corner that most people know. He is known to wear Roots of Fight hoodies in the gym. Seems like
great striking coach, though.
That's his wardrobe.
Brandon Gibson is very good.
And he's got Greg Jackson as well.
Serious, man. It cracks a bit of a smile there.
Did Valentina Shevchenko really lose? Oh, she did.
She did. Stoppage in the fourth.
Do those count as significant strikes for Gane?
They might.
Yeah, I'm really eager to see, like, will Cyril Gane come out hot and heavy with fury to kick this fight off?
I think he has to. Don't let Jones get comfortable and really settle into a pace and a rhythm. Get him uncomfortable. Get him on the back foot.
Making sure that John Jones makes the what?
Tripping his... No, I thought they were clipping his toenails. Just making sure. Don't want that in the eye. Greasing his toe. Oh, he might have broken a toe. Has it taped? And they're telling him he can't have the tape.
Yeah, something going on with John Jones right now.
Yeah, I think it's something to do with the tape on a toe. Yep, called it.
Yeah.
These people think I don't know. Yeah, John Jones. I wonder if there was a real foot injury. I know a guy who used to just do that.
That guy with the tie looks really mad about the tape being there. Or just really intense. Debbie with the super chat, much appreciated. So you can't tape your foot, but you can tape your toe.
No one knows.
I wonder what that's about. Foot tape is off.
Could you imagine his foot just like flattens out and he has a serious injury? He's like
he lets out a scream.
He has feet, yeah, like Yao Ming in 2011.
Well, that's not good for John Jones, whatever that's about.
He seems all right.
He's bending on it. He hasn't screamed yet.
I don't think he's gonna hurl out like a child. Oh, Hi, little Cool J.
He did a cartwheel. John Jones won already. I don't know. 35-year-old John Jones.
A high movement still of Cyril Gane. He's putting a lot into this. He knew the camera was rolling. Cyril, show us what you got. And he showed them what he has. Oh, you like a little...
Mark Goddard, the referee. None better.
Cyril, you are working up a sweat. We just need you for 3 seconds.
Haven't seen Steve Mazzagatti tonight.
He's at home watching the fights.
Pride 34 by himself.
Yeah, in an arena full of 90,000 people, Steve Mazzagatti can somehow watch the fights alone.
In full view for everyone to see.
Yeah. Has 5 seats to the right and left of him completely empty.
It was in his contract.
Steve.
Sakikibara, you give me those seats, pal.
I feel like that's a tough negotiation. Because he's got some muscle behind him.
Mazzagatti.
Not legal muscle.
He's like Yosemite Sam.
When you learn about how Pride got shut down, when they're like, listen, the people who run this are not who you think.
You know what's nice, though? Great video library.
That all of their... Oh, that's all the UFC bought when they bought Pride, because none of their contracts were real.
Well, Matt...
They just wrote them on, like, napkins.
Doughboy Paul likes the Mazzagatti love. When it comes to this matchup at heavyweight, you look at these two guys. Gane, amazing run on the way up.
Oh, yeah.
Stumbling block his second to last fight. Goes through adversity in his last time out. And, like, we saw that with Shavkat Rakhmonov tonight against Vicente Luque, against Jeff Neal. He withstood big shots. He stayed on his feet. He was on skates maybe for a bit. But he was able to go out there and get that finish win. A standing rear naked choke.
Very impressive.
You don't see that very often. So for Gane, obviously this is his toughest test. For John Jones...
I don't think it's his toughest test. I think Francis is.
Okay, fair enough. Gerald McCoy is about this game. Defensive
you
tackle.
also said Francis would beat Jones if they fought, so I think you'd agree that's his toughest test.
So when it comes to this one, and you look at it for John Jones, I mean, this is the pot of coffee that got him up in the morning, so to speak, or so he said. You know, oh yeah, the Anthony Smith fight, the fight against Santos, the fight against Dominic Reyes. It is what it is. But when you look at this one, Matt, a great opportunity for John Jones.
Definitely
taking on Cyril Gane. I'm gonna get up really quick. And you're going to fill the fans in.
Don't you worry. I'm driving the banter bus all of a sudden.
Yeah,
all
go
aboard.
for it.
Hop on. I'm really excited for this main event, guys. Again, anytime you have like an Anderson Silva, GSP, John Jones, one of these kind of pantheon great fighters, to put it into like baseball terms, they're a 100 WAR player. These are people who don't come around all that often, so I will be very excited to see what version of John Jones we do get. I don't think we will get him at his peak, to be completely honest. Like, if you're asking me, if you're giving me that truth serum, okay, what version of John Jones are we going to get? I think it will be a little bit slower than what we saw out of his prime, just because, again, I think we were starting to see him slow down, maybe a tad bit at 205, but it will be interesting to see how he deals with the slower athletes up at heavyweight, because I do think him moving up in weight's kind of going to negate some of the natural slowing process he was facing anyways, but Gane is the perfect opponent to take advantage of that, because he doesn't move like a traditional heavyweight. He's a guy who is very light on his feet, can bounce back and forth, and his movement should be a decent counter to the wrestling of a guy like John Jones. So if Gane can keep his back off of the ground, I think he can have great success. But, that's funny, cool banana boy. But, again, I think John Jones should be able to have success, especially with his ground and pound when he gets on top.
And it is tough to say when you look at a matchup like this, two guys, premier division for both of these men. But if you consider it for John Jones, I mean, like, coming in with this long layoff, with the added weight, with the tape on his foot.
I don't worry about the tape that much, to be honest.
It is tough to say what we'll get out of him in this fight, because for Cyril Gane, the tape's out there. It's been recent. And now you get the opportunity for both of these guys. Main event, 5 rounds for the heavyweight title. John Jones starting off like he normally does. Cyril Gane wants the fist bump. We'll see if we get a takedown attempt early with kicks from both guys to start the fight, and a kick right to the nads.
A cup kick.
Imagine
how bad that would hurt from Cyril Gane.
Cyril Gane. Kick right to the nads.
Oh my
Hard
goodness.
start, but we paused it right on time.
Imagine that being the first significant strike you eat after 3 years off. A kick to the cup from Cyril Gane.
Probably hurts.
I'd imagine.
He got it up and under.
I was going to say, taking a puck off most places would hurt in hockey.
Tickled the berries. All right, we restart the action.
Like we never left.
Round number 1. John Jones opening up with the left hand, trying to land a jab, and he lands a nice straight shot.
Right hand up the middle.
20
John
seconds.
Jones being the aggressor early.
Boys, that upper body's big.
And we have seen Gane be willing to move backwards. He's done this in a lot of his fights.
Oh, John trying to kind of trap that kick. Go for a takedown. He wasn't successful there. Siddle fighting off the back foot here.
Jones doing a good job pressuring him, though.
Be interesting to see if he can cut the cage against Gane with that movement side to side on the back foot.
I think he will at a certain point. It might take him a little bit of time, but he's been able to do it against a lot of fighters.
Does John Jones like oblique kicks, Matt?
Is the sky blue?
Loves him. I bet he took great inspiration from Khalil Roundtree, Modestas Bukauskas' takedown attempt from John Jones on the first try.
Jones, that wrist control early so Gane can't post up, get back to his feet. Not really completed it just yet, but he's going for that far wrist, yes, so he can kind of roll Cyril Gane to his back.
Like he's Habib Nurmagomedov. Now he's just grabbing the body. That's the problem with
Gane. For being as big and as strong of a guy as he is, he does give up his base quite easily.
John trying to bring him back down.
Like, Cyril Gane's thighs are as thick as my whole midsection.
Gane looking to grab the turnbuckle. He wasn't successful. Now he's down, and John...
Yeah, full mount against the cage, basically.
This is where John Jones does work, too. You talked about poor Machida. John Jones looking to grab the sub, or at least threaten with it, to open things up.
If he guillotines Cyril Gane in 2 minutes.
CK saying this is the playbook.
It really is, exactly. Just get on top, ground and pound, out grapple.
John punched him on top of his head.
He's a much higher level grappler.
Tap, and that's it.
That was quick.
Fight's over.
John Jones, the heavyweight champion of the UFC. That was fast. That's why I said I don't think Cyril Gane's going to be able to grapple at all with John Jones. I didn't think he was going to choke him out that quick. But
Matt, 12-2 night for the boys.
Good job.
So to anybody that throws a smack out there, hard to say that Grasso was going to become champ. She did. Wild. So great win for Grasso. I went wrong with Blackshear. It is what it is. But Matt, a big night with Fight Night picks. Undisputed UFC heavyweight champ John Jones.
Wild.
27-1 with an no contest on his career. The loss is a DQ.
Yeah, I thought Cyril Gane was going to offer up a lot more resistance than that. That wasn't a lot at all.
Yeah, he's going to fight the winner of Almeida and Rosenstrike, and he's going to lose to Jalton Almeida. That's going to be fun.
I was just about to say, if you think I'm picking Cyril Gane to beat Jalton Almeida at this stage of his career, I think Jalton Almeida gets on top of him and just makes him regret not being that good of a defensive grappler.
Oh my God, yeah, let's just chant USA. I want to know what the scoop is with the tape. I hope somebody asks him post-fight.
He should never dance again. He looks like Mike Gesicki doing it.
He looks like Daniel Cormier in that meme.
A little bit.
And Arthur's...
Chicken and cake.
Arthur's about it. Well, a good win for John Jones, Matt.
Howie Mandel as well.
It's about 2 o'clock. We've got our Jan Dvalishvili stuff to come out. So we got that to look forward to.
Real big sleep, though.
Yeah, it's going to be a big sleep. I got tomorrow to do the tape study. I'm away next week. So, yeah. John Jones, heavyweight champ.
Impressive stuff.
All about that life. Matt, so it was a big-time card. Of course, UFC 285, one of the big ones. Wow, Jones actually wrestled. He did it successfully. Matt, some big videos coming out in the near future. Keep locked in with Fight Night Picks.
Oh, yeah.
And as we always say, let's get into it.